その気になれば体内に埋め込んだ化学プラントで運動能力や反射の飛躍的な向上。文句を言う筋合いじゃないわ。
こいつは電脳犯罪史上最もユニークと評されたハッカー、人形使いだ。
あの擬態の中にいるのが何なのか、どうしても確かめなくちゃならないの。
ゴーストのない人形は悲しいもんだぜ。
And boom, we are here, ladies and gentlemen. Good, I guess, good morning to everyone where Dark Hour lives. Good afternoon.
Too early
to
for this shit. I don't expect huge numbers on this particular show, but screw it. Who cares? We're,
dude. It is the Rising Sun. This is your two-host morning show. So Dark Hour is, getting there slowly. I'm on afternoon time, and
we got a couple of guests who are just rolling out of bed. They'll be here a little. Jacob might just message me. He's on his way. It's like 8 a.m. for him, so it's Tomby's going to be a little late because he just had a personal issue he couldn't avoid. He's going to get in when he can. But either way, we are here with a freaking classic that was actually suggested from the EFAP. You know what? That reminds me. I'm going to go go send a YouTube link over there. Hold on. But yeah, it was suggested from the EFAP Discord channel. Who's about to be dropped a link right now. And
thank you, Eclectic Ghost.
Did you? I didn't even know. I always forget about the Twitter post because I just have it stream right to my Twitter, so I just assume that.
Oh, dude, I made a Twitter post for this one since it's a different time. So I was like, yep. And shout out to you, Anime Night. Yes.
Yeah, I've been trying to let people know as much. Eventually, these other shows will become a little bit more well known that we do them. But I think this is a fantastic first one to try to tackle. This is one of the most legendary anime films of all time. Very influential. Sparked a lot of 90s, AI fear movies, and was really influential toward the Matrix. But so we've assembled a couple of people who have actually every guest on today has never been on the show before, so it's pretty cool.
And it is a pleasure to welcome them.
Yes, and I'm going to bring them in right now. The first one I want to bring in he's from the Narrative Arcade is his channel, but his name is Selvier, and he reached out to me on it was either Twitter or Facebook. It was one or the other. And we got to talking. He's a writer. He's really into the production side of things, and we hit it off right away. And I had to get him onto a show. This was one that he was really interested in doing. So here he is, Mr. Selvier. How you doing?
Hey there. Good. How about you?
Doing pretty good. Good to have you on.
It's our pleasure to have you on, dude. Really good pleasure. So as I was saying before, I checked out your channel after Dark Hour told me that you were going to be our guest, and dude, it's a really good channel. So it's linked in the description. Do check him out. And
thank you. As I said before, it's a bit different than what people are usually used to. I'm a screenwriter, so I do very technical breakdowns of basically everything from video game storytelling to anime and movies and TV. But I was actually worried people might not like it. It's very technical. I thought it's going to be dry, but I guess people like it still, so it's good.
Yeah, dude.
There's a lot of people out there who really want to understand the technical aspects, and
I try to spice it up with some humor. There is some edgy jokes too, if you like that sort of thing. So
if they're on my channel, they probably like.
I guess so. It should be fine. Yeah,
it's kind of my thing.
I did get some complaints. I was already called what was it called? Leftist and a bigot in the same video. So that's good. So I offended everybody.
If you're getting called both of those things, you're doing well, I think.
Yeah.
If everybody hates you, then everybody is watching. That's
exactly.
Jacob just popped in. I'm not sure.
He is. He's there.
Yeah, I think he's just setting up his camera. So it's really good to have you on, Selvier. But we do have a couple of other guests we got to pop in.
Yes, so be easy on me, chat, okay? This is one of my first times making an intro, okay? So I have to introduce our next guest. So hailing all the way from Japan, but originally from somewhere in Canada, I guess. You've heard of fermented cabbage, but have you heard of fermented cinema? Ta-da!
Ta-da! Well, you have now, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. Fermented Cinema here. It's 10:14 p.m. Sunday night in District 9. Yes.
Yeah.
So thanks for having me on. Actually, I've had the Uninspired Reviewer on my show a couple times. We've talked about a few great films. Hoping to have
just last week it was The Great Outdoors. So
The Great Outdoors, exactly. That was a lot of fun. Yeah. No, thanks a lot for having me on.
I love that movie, might I add. When I was sad that I missed you guys live. The old 96er is one of my all-time favorite scenes in a comedy movie.
Oh, yeah.
The old 96er is amazing. I had one of those for dinner tonight.
I've always wondered about a 96 out, but how cold would it be by the time you got about halfway through that thing? I think that a lot of people, would be willing to try to eat something like that. I don't think many would succeed. But by the time you got about halfway, the whole thing would be cold. I've had a tomahawk steak, and it's hard to get to the bone without it getting cold. So
especially when you got to eat down all that gristle and fat too.
Yeah, right. Nothing on that plate but gristle and fat. It's good to have you on, man. I've watched some of your stuff, and I think you're a funny guy. So.
Thanks. Yeah.
And our next guest, who he doesn't seem to have a logo set up yet, but I'll bring him in anyway. He's probably he'll set up the logo as he goes along. But another guy who reached out to me, I believe he actually reached out to me through my comments. His name's Jacob from What the Film. He's a big anime guy, and I told him ahead of time, hey, we're thinking about doing some anime films, and I'll get you in on one as soon as I can. And much to the credit of this guy, he checked in with me constantly. He was like, hey, I just want to make sure this is what we're doing. What do you need from me? So I'm hoping that translated into some awesome takes and some really good, feedback about the film. But Jacob from What the Film, how you doing?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can. We can hear you loud and clear, man.
I'm sorry, I'm quite stupid. I forgot to ask if it was Eastern time or the other time. Did I set my clock?
That falls on me. That's not you're not. That falls on me that I didn't double check with you. So
I set my clock for 8 o'clock, and apparently it's 9 o'clock now.
So it's fine. This was the first time I ever did a multiple platforms different connection, different groups. So I'm sorry that there was a little bit of a miscommunication there, but you made it, and that's what matters.
Hell yeah, dude. It's our pleasure to have you on, especially to talk about Ghost in the Shell. And
I quite like this movie.
And so I guess we should start off by saying hello to everyone in the chat, of course. Hi. And
hello, chat.
Yeah, people will probably trickle in. It's kind of similar to the way when we did our late night show.
People are working up dark hour.
Yeah, I mean, we were not even going to get people in California till the end of this thing. But yeah, I'm really excited for this, man. So hello, chat. Some of our regulars out there: Heathen Monk, Eraserhead, Eclectic Goat. I see you guys. Cobra Khan 007. I don't think I've ever seen you, but I love that name.
Cobra Khan.
Yeah.
It's like, all right.
Anime Night, which is another somebody I would expect in something like this.
Apparently, David Lynch is here. I see a Eraserhead.
Yes, Eraserhead is one of our regulars. So.
Has anyone watched Cobra Kai? I hear good things about it. But
if you look in the background over there,
I got
a Cobra Kai banner. Yeah, that's one of my favorite shows, man.
I guess
I should check it out.
I have not.
I will say this because I don't want to turn this into a Cobra Kai stream, but it starts out way better. The more recent seasons have lost a little bit of that magic, partially because I think they lost the what's the term I'm looking for? The self-awareness. that they had where they were really tongue-in-cheek about a lot of things. Now it's played off a lot more serious and like melodramatic, which doesn't work as well with something like Cobra Kai. But the first 2 seasons were really good, and then everything after that's still pretty good.
Okay.
Well, I guess it's time to get into Ghost in the Shell. So I think we should start off how we usually do, 2 hosts, and I will ask Fermented Cinema. What was your first experience with the movie?
My first experience with the movie was actually in university. I didn't see it until about 2002, 2003, and it was in a film course I was taking at university, and the prof showed it, and I absolutely loved it. And it totally, I don't know, at the time, I was also dating a Chinese girl at the time. I don't know. It just hit the my fever condition just perfectly. So, and and I just loved. I think what I loved most about it, though, because I know it's released like in 1995, but for me, it has like a real 80s aesthetic to it. It feels like a Blade Runner, almost like a Total Recall type of feel. It has that like late 80s kind of analog future aesthetic to it.
Yeah.
So I absolutely love that.
Nice. Yeah, dude. I like it too. It's quite unique. I like it.
Oh yeah, the animation is just beautiful. Yeah, and the whole setting too. I love the setting of District 9 and was it like Newport City in Japan?
Yeah.
It's just so cool.
Black people's favorite city, man. The Newport City.
Oh man. Well,
man, we have to start the day off right, dude.
Hello,
nice.
Jacob. Oh, now we can see him. Nice. He's got his hat.
Look at that.
And so, what the film? What about you, man? What was your first experience with Ghost in the Shell?
I never knew it even existed until Dark Hour, brought it up. I'm completely new to the series, and I didn't even know it was still continuing to this day. I really enjoyed the film. I thought it brought up a lot of concepts I don't really think about. I enjoy the characters. All that stuff is really good. I don't want to get into particulars right now. I'm sure we're gonna do that.
Just a general overview of it is fine. Like a broad scope of it for you is fine. I like what you got going. You got like I'm assuming you're using like a tablet or something because you got the streamlined look. It actually has a very unique look for your avatar right now. I like it.
I'm actually on my phone. I'm trying to hook up you to my laptop right now. I'm glad it looks great.
Take your time. You sound actually, if this is your phone, this sounds really good for a phone.
It sounds actually really good for a phone, dude.
Coming in loud and clear.
Honestly, if you want to just leave it like that, you sound fine. Like it's not picture perfect, but it's pretty damn good for a phone. So if you want to leave it like that, that's fine. It might be a little difficult to see. I mean, you might want to watch the clips and stuff through your laptop. If you want to leave that as your thing, that's fine.
Yeah, don't worry, dude. We'll test it out, man.
Yeah, I've never tried that.
I don't think I've ever seen Ron is right in the chat. I'm not too sure, maybe unless my memory serves me wrong. But shout out to you, Ron.
Hello there.
That's a good name there, Ron. That was my grandpa's name. Nice.
Sylvier,
and Ronnie.
What was your first experience with this movie?
I think it's also 2003 because I remember I was watching The Animatrix as well in the same year. And I was like 14. I didn't understand anything. I just liked the boobies and the action. So
I did say that this is a very unique blend of philosophy and movies.
Yeah, exactly. So, and as 14-year-old me was just happy to see some action. And I have not seen it for over a decade, so 15 years. So now rewatch it. It holds up very well. Age like fine wine, I'd say. I actually wished it was longer. I feel like a half an hour is missing in this script. That's what I felt like now. And been a while. 15 years,
That's the sign of a great film, a film that you're like disappointed and you want to see more.
and what I also liked is it has an 80s aesthetic. They did pick Hong Kong as a backdrop. But it also technologically wise, it just aged as like everything makes sense.
Mhm.
One thing, so I actually used to work in automation. One thing you will see all over the place when working with like welding robots is like just cables. There's a ton of cables lying around everywhere, and you see this in this one. So I like the attention to detail.
Oh yeah.
And I'll tell you, that's very authentic to modern day Japan. Things are still very analog here. They haven't moved on to the wireless society yet. So
wait a minute, you're
fax
telling me that
machines,
Japan
papers.
isn't living in 2050? Like I see on those memes all the time.
So-
I love those memes because it'll be like the most basic thing. It'll be like, look, they have food. They're living in 2050.
I saw somebody, he was just serving an omelet and it was like nothing special.
Yeah,
And that tagline was like, or the caption was like, they're living in the year 3000. Like, it's just an omelet.
Oh man, uninspired. How about you? I think you had thought that you actually saw this, but it turned out you hadn't.
That's what I was telling you on the phone yesterday. So I'm kind of with Jacob from What the Film here. So I thought that I had seen this movie. Turns out I was confusing it with a different anime for some reason. I don't even remember which anime I was confusing it with. So I watched this for the first time on Thursday night, and I have seen it 3 times since Thursday, just to get a proper grasp of everything. And man, I really liked it. I thought the animation was incredibly smooth, especially me who, as being a guest on the Gooch, shout out to the Gooch on the Gooch's channel, who does animation breakdowns. I always complain about CG animation, so I went in to go and see a behind the scenes video about this, and there's actually a ton of CG animation in this that you don't even realize is CG animation, especially for the time, which is surprising. And even the story, the philosophical aspects of it, I think it's quite interesting. You can clearly see that The Matrix took inspiration from this just a couple of years later. And I just think that it holds up really, really well.
I think took inspiration is a bit of an understatement. More like stole shit directly from this movie.
I mean, if you think this looks good, apparently there's a 2.0 version that just updates all the visuals. I saw both. Yeah. And it looks even better. You should check that out.
Some people, so there's actually a lot of contention about that. Some people prefer the original 1995 everything 2D. I personally prefer that one. Some people are really on board with the 3D, but there are a lot of people who think that it's kind of jarring to see the CG 3D stuff that they do in the middle of what's generally a very good-looking 2D film.
Is that a remaster or the sequel?
It's a remaster.
The sequel is called 2.0, I think, as well, right?
No, that's called Ghost in the Shell 2 Innocence.
All right.
Yeah. 2.0 was literally a remaster.
Okay.
And because they extended some of the scenes out, I think it's like 2 minutes longer because some of the scenes got extended because they did the whole CG. Like,
I mean, I don't think it would have needed it. It's like what I really loved about this one is all the grime in every frame. It just looks dirty, which is
I'm always a fan for grit and grime in like cinema, and I just love it when stuff has like so much texture to it. So
exactly. Yeah.
I definitely don't need it cleaned up.
That's my kind of. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. This is your first stream, so occasionally you will think that somebody stopped talking, but they didn't. Nobody gets offended about the cutting off. We all understand that there's lag and stuff. Don't worry about it.
That's my kind of problem with the there's through the whole series there's CGI movies, complete CGI movies, and they always looked too clean to me, and that's my problem with the CGI movies. It didn't have the roughness that the original and the 2D anime does.
Oh yeah, I totally agree with you, man. Totally agree. And
I love 2D animation, and actually uninspired. I make my own 2D animation.
Yeah,
so hand-drawn on my channel.
Yeah, check out Fermented Cinema's greatest series of all time, where you see what happens in a day in the life of a random person in this random movie. What happens to them, dude? The one that you did on T2, fantastic.
The guy that works at the Galleria, the Pepsi guy.
The Pepsi guy.
Oh my god, I'll need to check that out. I'm gonna have to check.
Incredible, dude.
T2 is in my top 5 all-time movies, so that's I gotta check that one out. And I always
second. I got a few Terminator cartoons on there. It's all I take like the characters that are just like killed like cannon fodder, and I build a whole backstory for them.
I'm gonna check that out because I always felt terrible for that guy. He was just headed to work. He just gets blown away for no reason.
You see, fermented cinema will make you feel even more terrible for that guy.
But I guess that just leaves me for my
dude.
So I remember, my friend Dave is a huge fan of this movie. This is like, I think might be his all-time favorite movie. And I was probably about 18. I had seen the show. I had seen the the standalone complex, but I had never seen the movie. And he was offended by that. He was like, "No, you have to watch this." So he one day he sits me down and he's like, and I remember because like I said, it's a unique blend of philosophy and boobs. And I remember saying to him, I was like, "So when does she get I was like 18, 19. I turned to myself. I was like, "So when does she get naked?" And he's like, "Oh, eventually." And first scene just and he was like, "You know what? That happened a lot quicker than I remember it happening for some reason." And but that's kind of like that titillation to get people like visually interested, but really what keeps you in and what's always kept me coming back to this movie is the philosophy aspects. It's every line, it's very short, as we've already said. It's only 80 to 82 minutes long, somewhere in that range. But it doesn't waste anything. Every line matters, every scene matters, every little detail has a point. And that's probably the reason why Selvier has said that he feels like he wishes it was longer, because by the time you're getting so much and like you're processing it slower than the movie is going.
Yes.
And but it still remains to be one of those things. Every time I go back and watch it, I never feel like it drags. Like even like how no matter how many times you watch when you watch something a lot of times and you're like, okay, it takes a little longer each time. This one, if anything, it feels shorter every time because I'm like just excited to get to the next part. And
because structurally every part is just setting up the next beat properly. Like it's 82 minutes long, but exactly at minute 42 you have the midpoint. And a midpoint usually in every screenplay it has what's called a key for transformation, which is something the main character meets that's going to change him or her, or maybe not. And exactly at that point, at the 41 minute mark, the puppet master shows up. Like that's when they get hit by the truck.
Yeah, that's structure. We'll talk about that in a second. I just want to point this out to Uninspired. When we repost it, let's use this as the title. Yeah,
sure.
The short running time is so nice, though, especially these days. It's so refreshing because I think Uninspired Reviewer and I were talking about this about the great outdoors, like 90 minutes in and out. Because like these days, it's like everything's got to be an epic 2.5. Everything's trying to be Lord of the Rings. Like it's got to be 2.5 hours. It's got to be pushing 3 hours. And it's like, God, if I'm going to piss my pants in the theater, that means the movie's too long, and I want to get the hell out.
Yeah, I in my opinion, when movies start to get past 2 hours, they need to bring back intermissions. Go ahead, Jacob.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm always on the side of a movie. My friends in the band, I always tell them this too. A movie should be as long as you want it to be. As long as the story.
As long as the story keeps you engaged, it's fine.
Yeah, as long as you have a story to tell, keep it going.
Well, yeah, but I just think if they're going to do a 3-hour movie, I'm okay with it. I thought Oppenheimer was great, but I wanted to take a piss
Oppenheimer worked.
2-hour mark, and I need that. I need that. I need that 5 minutes where I could get up and walk around and
I mean, actually,
an intermission would be so welcome, because I was watching Wolverine and come on, Deadpool and Wolverine, and that movie's felt long. Maybe it's not quite as long, but just it felt long. I liked it, but by the end, when it came back to life, I was like, no, I got to take a piss real bad. I want this to be done. Like, come on, I thought that was the end.
Actually, what's interesting, like historically, the act structure exists because of the bladder. Like they used to have act breaks so people can go take a piss. It's like that's why it exists. So it would naturally tie into a long movie to use the act structure and just let people go to the toilet.
Well, I mean, that's one of the things, and we'll get into this because this has the acts are very short, but they almost don't you almost don't even realize that you're going from act to act. It's actually really well done. And here we open up with something that everybody can understand, some Japanese here.
So, fermented cinema, as our esteemed Japanese guest, please put on your best deepest, sexiest Japanese protagonist voice.
Wait. I have the most important question. Dub or sub?
Oh, dub or sub? Actually, that's a great question. So I've watched both. I think the first time I saw it, generally I have my philosophy with anime is to at least the first time you watch it, watch the sub so you get the real feel for it. But for subsequent watches, I have watched the dub. This is one of the better dubs, and there's sometimes the dub is even better than the sub because like the voice actors are just really good. And
like I was saying this before we went live. I think that in terms of 80s, 90s, and very early 2000s English dub, I think that it works perfectly. I have no issue with it. However, modern English dub, I'm going sub all the way.
It always depended on me. If I was like, okay, I can't wait to watch this, I'll do the sub. But if I'm like, okay. But if I really want to see the animation, because sometimes it's just really good, I don't want to have to be reading if I'm watching something,
So I do agree with you on that. Sometimes, especially really wordy movie. This one is pretty wordy, at certain points, so it can be a little bit difficult for somebody, unlike Fermented Cinema, who doesn't need to worry about that kind of shit. But like for someone who needs to actually read the subs, you can lose some of the visual portion of the medium.
So, Fermented Cinema.
Oh God,
give it to us.
Oh man, well I gotta tell you, my Japanese, I've been in Japan for 10 years and still it's a pain in the ass. I can read most of this. Pronouncing most of it is gonna be difficult, especially the kanji, but I can read what I know.
There's kanji in there because I know kanji and katakana are two different things. I can never really tell the difference just visually looking at them though. So
there's there's kanji, katakana, and hiragana in here. Hiragana. So first two are kanji. Something gyo, and gyo means like industry, or gyo no neto ga hoshi o so the net and the stars. And
I mean, you don't need to translate it. I have the translation.
Next,
just give it to us in
kanji
Japanese.
I know there too, but then we got denshi ya hikari ga nanka keite mo kokuya ya ga sorry, I just said one moment, please, in Japanese. 1 second. Ga this one 消えてなくなるほど情報化されていない近い未来. So some information about transformations in the near future. So
yeah, dude. Thank you. Dude.
Japanese is one of the more elegant languages. I will say that it's a lot less. A lot of times people will try to group it in with Chinese, and they're two very different languages. And Chinese is especially like Mandarin Chinese.
Thank you, Pepina. Oh my god.
Yeah. Mandarin Chinese is very like punchy. It's very like staccato. It has like it's like pop, 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 the way it's said. It's and the way their language structure is really weird. Whereas like Japanese has a real flow to it. And I'm not really much of a weeaboo. But I can appreciate a language that sounds very elegant.
Well, see, when Fermented Cinema said the chotomate, I knew that he wasn't reading. I knew that he was saying, "Wait a minute." I was like, I've seen too much anime to know that.
Chotomate, I'm thinking right now. Yeah, no, because it's interesting because like almost all these kanji. So all of these except for two. There's only two kanji I don't know, but the rest I know. And but what's annoying is the pronunciation of kanji changes depending on what kanji it's paired with.
Jeez.
So then it's like, oh crap, to actually like read it out. It's like, because like, for example, in the third line, the first kanji is country and the second kanji is home. And usually, so the first kanji, the country one, it can read as kuni by itself, which is country, or koku. Like I live in Shikoku, 4 countries is the name of the area I live in. Or it can be like Goku, like Chugoku, which is like China. And it's like, and the second kanji is house, which is like ie. But paired together, I'm like, oh fuck, it could be Koku-iya, it could be Koku-ya, it could be Choku. It's like, oh Jesus Christ, screw this.
Japanese.
It means home country. It means home country. That's what it's saying.
So
you guys weren't expecting to get a Japanese lesson this morning, were you?
You know, that's why I only speak American. You know.
Yeah, which is a completely non-complicated language.
Exactly.
English.
All right.
And no one ever misunderstands each other with English.
I'll give it to you in American. All right. So, in the not so distant future, when the corporate networks fill the earth with electronic and optical communication lines, but society has not yet been too computerized to erase nations and races. That is the translation that I had on my version of the film. So
that's the one that they put on the original version as well. Very similar.
So
to
it
what
says
you
it says races. It's funny because in my version it said, when I looked it up, it said ethnicities.
Oh, mine said races. Yeah,
it's just funny because it's predicting
splitting hairs. There, splitting hairs.
Yeah. One second.
I mean, I don't think so. I think it depends.
I think ethnicity makes more sense.
Yeah,
especially with the idea that you can be any gender you want, really, and because you just put your brain case. That's what it's called. Big nerd and Ghost in the Shell. Now you can just put your brain case in a different body. Actually, the idea in Standalone Complex, Bato asks the Major, why you female? Why not put your brain case in a male body? Well, I like this body
because of boobs.
Boobs.
And in Standalone Complex, they actually it's funny because she doesn't, obviously in the standard anime, that she doesn't get naked and stuff as even like fully or even as close to as much as in this. But they really play up the sensuality aspects and her utilizing that in the show a lot more than they do in the movie.
And she becomes way stronger. Like she stops a helicopter with her bare hands. It's crazy.
Yes. Yeah, they definitely like power creeped her up. And she's also physically more imposed. She's taller and like the way she looks at the end of this one when she's trying to tear the thing off of
dude, that's an obtainable physique, bro. That's literally what lean beef patty looks like, dude.
Yeah, but I'm saying that's what she looks like.
The tone of the film is much more like for lack of a better term, the tone of the film is much darker and a lot more, I want to say kind of grounded, but it's like grittier. Where like the Standalone Complex animation definitely gets a little more, I want to say kind of Saturday morning cartoon feel to it. At times.
Well, that happens a lot with the film versus the like actual series. If you watch almost any time there's a film that they turn into a series, you'll see there's a drop off in seriousness.
I enjoy the Tachikomas, the little think tanks, the tanks.
Yeah, the little tanks. Yeah.
Yeah. So right now in the movie, there is a 208 in progress. Now, what we see is the Major that is surveilling a sort of meeting. And in that meeting, they are talking about Project 2501 maybe being a bug. And of course, we meet the Major for the first time. The Major is hooked up. She's plugged up. She's locked in. And there she is, looking great, man.
She's plugged up. Oh no, that's like me after the '96er.
So what they're doing is they're discussing about Project 2501 being a bug. At this point in time, on the first watch, I will say I understood jack shit in the first 35 minutes, genuinely.
Oh my god, I remember watching this the first time, having no idea what's going on here. I'm like, it's some sort of espionage or
that's what I mean. It's like the first act is way too short. I was like, are these corporations? Are these government agencies? Is this like a mishmash?
Yeah.
The answer is yes, Sylvia. That's the answer, because
it's yes.
And that's what that intro is saying, that there's a breakdown of what is a nation, what is a corporation, what is a human, what is technology. It's happening on multiple levels in society. It's happening on the individual level of like, what is a human? Like, how much of a human requires that you're human? And then the nations themselves are slowly kind of becoming corporations. They're being infiltrated by all of this, the technology. That's kind of what the Puppet Master is. It's a
if I also remember the lore correctly, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, this, but I also believe it takes place I could be mixing this up because again, I haven't seen it for 10 years, but I remember it takes place like after World War III or something like that. And
it's supposed to be
there's
after
been
a
like,
Great War, yeah.
Okay.
yeah,
Well,
and it's like, there's been
Bato was a
migration. So
soldier,
there's
not they don't mention it in this, but in the show, Bato mentions that he was a soldier in the war.
yeah, and some of them actually are like not Japanese. Like some of them actually are like Western people and like people from elsewhere in the world that live in Japan now.
Yeah,
because
who the
Japan
hell
kind of became like an immigration country.
Yeah, like it's. I mean, as we all know, absolutely no one that isn't from Japan lives in Japan. So,
I'll tell you this: Standalone Complex takes place around 2042. This takes place around 2024, and apparently there was a second Korean War.
Or 2029, yeah.
There was a second Korean War, apparently.
Oh, nice.
All right. Well,
that actually would make sense for Japan because, like, Japan has a historical rivalry with Korea, so that would make sense for that to be their like war. The people.
Really, I thought they all like each other over there.
Oh yeah, it's a fantastic. There's no such thing as historical rivalries or anything over there.
Please send BTS to the front line.
I'm just from the Balkans. I've never heard of that historical.
Oh yeah, there's never been. It's not like there's ever been like countries that were one country that now hate each other in the Balkans either.
Yeah, that's definitely not happening to this day, currently, right now.
Nope. Everyone's holding hands, singing songs, getting along,
singing "Kumbaya."
The globalists have it right.
Now we do get to meet Bato and Togusa. Togusa is the guy that's in front. Bato is at the back. Bato is like the major enhanced organism. That's what I call them because sometimes the name just slips my mind, the proper name. And Togusa is apart from his slightly enhanced brain, he is human.
Yeah, he only has the minimum, basically the minimum to be part of the organization. He has the very bare minimum so he could jack into the computer systems.
I believe
so they can link in and stuff.
I believe later in this movie they explain why there's so many different types of people in the movie, because they don't want to specialize in too many. They don't want to over specialize, right?
Well, it's one of those things. It's if you have everybody is a full cyborg, they'll all kind of have like a hive mind and think the same, and they won't be able to figure out problems in a different way. So Togusa
exactly
is specifically
like
there
later on.
Yeah, he's there specifically to be the human thought process. That's really what he is. And that's why they chose him.
I mean, it also makes sense. It's in the real life as well. Like you want some actual diversity of thought in any operation. It's like
it's almost like, I mean, like as if we have like an African French dude, a Balkanized guy in Austria, a dude from the mid. Where are you from again, Jacob?
I'm from Illinois.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say from the Midwest. And a Canadian in Japan on my stream. It's almost like like I did that on purpose for this one.
And yeah, so we get the so we get the major that is arriving, and
looking real good.
Yeah, looking great,
perky.
This is supposed to be Section 6's case, and we do learn that the major is from Section 9, and the major is basically going to do what Section 9 does. They finish the job. They take care of shit. They get shit done. Okay. Now,
out of her jurisdiction, though.
It is. Now, Togusa and Bato say that Section 6, basically, the limit of their power is just they can deport people. And so Section 9 comes in because they want to completely take care of the situation and also take care of the cleanup. It's basically what they're kind of the dirty hand of the government. That's what they are. And we witnessed this firsthand as the major departs to do what she does best. Yeah. Now I love
they're kind of like they're kind of like the CIA.
Yeah, they are.
The wet works kind of stuff.
Man, I love that.
James Bond type stuff.
Yeah, or like MI6. Yeah, that would be a.
Yeah, and I just love the sequence of the police coming up because I love it because of the sound design. It is silent. All you hear are footsteps. It's a great assault, and I also love the briefcase guns. Those are cool. Yeah.
No, this film all like has an amazing sound design. Of course, the soundtrack. Like, we got to talk about the soundtracks. It's phenomenal.
Oh, it's fantastic. Unfortunately, we can't really play much. We might have
Yes,
been
yes.
able
Thank
to
you,
get.
YouTube.
We honestly might have been able to get away with it with this one, only because anime historically has a lot of issues with their copyrights.
I
So
don't
we
think
might
so
have been able to
because
slip it under, but I don't want to test it.
I think Lionsgate Lionsgate has the English rights for this one.
Yeah.
So yeah, and
You can also
so-
get regionally blocked on stuff too. So you be careful with Japanese copyrights. Japan doesn't have fair use laws.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
I know
we're
that.
probably gonna get blocked in Japan. Jacob, you're about to say something?
I don't this. I know it's like the 90s or whatever, but I don't like I like the police outfits here more, but I don't like the Major's outfit later in this movie. It looks too clunky. It doesn't look, as
You're talking about like her when she goes to
that gray outfit. I just it doesn't look at tactical. I like the cop's outfit here. I think it looks more reasonable, but it still looks too chunky for my liking. I feel like you wouldn't. I mean, these people are probably cyborgs, so it doesn't matter.
No, these are all humans. Actually, these are way more.
Like when he means about the Major and why she's not like equipped the same way.
No, I mean like it looks like it would be hard to move in those outfits. They look kind of heavy. The way the flak vest looks. I don't know. I've always not liked it. I've always liked more. Am I being? It's my tism.
I mean, you're allowed to dislike.
We're a peace-loving democracy. Of course you are, Pop. That's Putin sitting there now. We're a peace-loving democracy.
The way I do love the fact that they pretty much sum up. Now, obviously, like Uninspired said, on a first watch, a lot of this is pretty confusing, and it's done like that on purpose. It's by design. It's that way when you rewatch it a second, third, fourth time, all of this makes way more sense later on.
Yeah, I only got it when I was rewatching it about an hour and a half ago to take notes. That's when I everything clicked for me. Not even on the second watch.
I mean,
just on the finish line, eh?
What I like, the way I viewed this, it was kind of, I mean, the more things change, the more they say this stay the same. And it's like we still have these goddamn bureaucracies to deal with, and they're at war with each other. And it's like nothing has changed. It's like 10 DMVs are fighting now. They just have an army.
Yeah,
that's how it came across.
But one thing I do love about this intro is it gets everything across really, really quickly. It doesn't waste any time. They explain so without telling you what Project 2501 is. They explain everything about it that you need to know right away. Hey, is it a bug? What's going on? This thing is not working right. They show you exactly what the Major does. She doesn't waste time. I mean, she's known for two things: getting naked and killing people, and she does both of those within like 10 seconds. So it's
Boom. Doom, pop.
The head explosion, man. It's great.
And I love the thermal optics. The way she does the hand right there is fantastic. Because that's just her messing with them. She could have changed the face at the same time, but instead she does it like a really I got you, and you had no way of stopping me.
Really, I thought she needed the mask thing to change.
But she didn't have to do it that way. She could have just easily. She didn't have to do that, and she doesn't require. So she has it built into her skin as well.
Yes.
So she's like she's one of the more advanced, which is weird because she's also one of if not the first fully mechanized body.
Okay, I wasn't sure if she was the first because
I think she's one of the first, if not the first.
There's only in terms of what we know from this film, there are only 2, 3 if you include the puppet master's body. That's pretty much it. That has the thermal optics like inbuilt in their system.
Yeah,
that's what they say. So they reference it near the end. But let me just lay the groundwork for the people watching. So this person on the right, who's next to the couch, going down, he's basically seeking political asylum. because they've been taking classified programmers out of the country. He's familiar with what Project 2501 is, which we do not know yet, and I will explain it as the movie progresses. And now
he's essentially like a defector, right? So
yeah,
he's defecting. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so this is Section 6's boss on the right now. And of course, Section 9 pops in and they do what they do best. They just political
Get the
asylum.
job done a little faster.
Exactly. And so that's pretty much it. And now we'll get a bit more about it as we progress, which is why we were saying before, you don't understand jack shit on the first watch of this movie, especially the first act.
I compare watching this film like the first time I watched Snatch, where you're like, what the fuck is going on for like the first like 40 minutes? You're just like, it's like, I gotta watch this again to put this together. Time is so much more fun. Yeah.
And
but yeah, that's a really good intro too, because it gets the point across really quick. It has a hook right there too, that like last sequence. Go ahead, Jacob.
I don't know if you want to talk about the one with Scarlett Johansson, because it's kind of the same.
I mean, we could touch on it. I don't want to go too in depth on that, only because then it slowly turns into a conversation about which is the two of them versus each other.
Okay.
I have a soft spot for it. I actually enjoyed it. I saw it in the theater here in Japan. Obviously, it fell into the trap of like a lot of like 2010s films, which is it's got to be PG-13. We can't have it R. And that was, to me, I think the weakest point is if it was an R-rated film, it would have been much better because it needed those elements. The more, like what we just saw, the more gritty, the more gore. Nudity, so that's what we needed.
Yeah, which is weird because that was around the time that Scarlett Johansson was trying to like I forget what the movie she did was, where she actually got fully naked.
Under the Skin.
Under the Skin, yeah.
And it was like right around the same time, and I feel like they could have easily just with the right rating.
I don't think it's that. I think it's the budget. It's 110 million. It's like you need PG-13. I think.
I think had they had that, I don't think she would have objected to it at that point in her career.
Yeah.
She actually had historically the movie The Island. She really was pushing for scenes back then.
Yeah, Michael Bay was against.
Michael Bay fought back against it. And if I ever meet him,
oh my god, that's the worst story in the world. I hate that story.
Yeah. And that surprises me. Michael Bay pushing back on any type of sexuality, knowing him.
That's true.
He was like, "No, I'd rather get more explosions into this if we can."
Whatever, get your rocks off. But
maybe it's way to choose between. We have either money for her to go topless or to explode the tanker truck. Whew, oh god, this one.
It's like it's that meme where he's got the two buttons. He's just like naked.
Yeah, the two buttons. Yeah,
exploding. It's like Jacob, you're about to say something.
Yeah, I'm still just old enough to remember the controversy of hiring Scarlett Johansson. I remember they wanted a Japanese person to do it.
No, this makes me laugh because I remember this controversy too. But being from Japan, because I hate this like race baiting BS now in Hollywood, and it's like all these protesters came out and said like. The funniest was I read like these lists. They're like, look at all these actresses to be perfect for it. And I'm like, Chinese, Korean, American, Chinese, Korean. None of these are Japanese. It's so funny.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, one of the things about anime generally is that they don't draw people to be white or they don't draw or Asian. They just draw people, and they're really good at drawing them in a way that we as the viewer can kind of put our spin on what they're supposed to be. They choose traits of multiple races on purpose, kind of like what they did with Kratos in the at least in the original God of War games, where they took a little bit. They took traits from several different societies, so that way the person who was playing could kind of just project themselves on him no matter what.
Oh, like for example, like the character like Bato is like 100%. That's to me, that's a white guy. Looking at him, like he looks like my brother.
But now, see, I actually don't perceive him as a white guy. I like. So there you go. That's we just did it live right there. So
well, that's another question. Like, how much does it? You could get into the subject of what does it mean to be of a certain race when you can literally look however you want, you know?
And that's part of the story here is that they choose what they look like if they really want to, or they could choose their trait. Like Bato has the the eyes.
The eyes.
And his are actually they don't mention it in this, but his are outdated. They're like obsolete, but they have better I'm trying to remember because I haven't watched the show in a long time.
They're like thermal scanners or something.
They have better distance, like, so because there's a lot of sniping and stuff. They have better like binocular vision and thermals, but they actually have really poor peripheral vision and stuff. So he's really good in a straight line vision, but he's terrible awareness around him, but he prefers that.
And you can kind of see that too. The way the eyes are, more jutted out.
It's like literally like looking through a pair of binoculars. You can't see what's next to you. But he prefers that.
It doesn't slow him down though.
There in the show, there's a specific episode where it does slow him down a lot. It's called the prosthetic blind spot, and they have a whole episode based around. I don't know if you got to that one yet, but
no,
there's a whole like it's a mini saga about how he really should upgrade his optics, but he doesn't.
So
it probably made more sense in the war if that's the lore. Like if he was a sniper or something, it makes more sense.
That's true.
To have
if you want to get into this, he would just like he had like an LMG. Basically, he at least when the Major and him, at least when they met, he wasn't some type of sniper or anything, but
yeah. So after that we get the title card, and after the title card we get the intro sequence, which I've clipped a couple of pieces of.
It's such a great montage.
It really is.
It's the montage of the Major
construction,
being created, which is it's great.
And you can see all the things that they clearly stole from the Matrix.
From the Matrix.
I mean, the Matrix stole from them. I mean, sorry, I said it backwards. But I do always love. I love how they even have like cybernetic muscles.
Yeah,
like it's like muscle tissue.
I love when you do that.
I've got some two-host titty censoring all over this live stream, man.
But
they did give her a pretty contemporary haircut. A lot of girls have that haircut right now, so this is the 2020s.
It's kind of funny that she has like tits, but she doesn't have anything else. She only had tits.
It's true.
So it's because they do sort of mention that. So like,
technically, she has an ass.
Yeah. They basically it's just for visuals. It's just so that way she can pass as a woman. She doesn't have to have the functioning reproductive organs of a woman, though.
I mean, it makes sense if you have a female agent that's supposed to go undercover and blend in. You would like give her something, at least secondary visuals. I like that the whole sequence feels like a birthing scene, actually, with the ethereal.
They even put her in the in like the fetal position, right before she comes out.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, it's. I don't think it's clipped here.
I didn't clip it because there were too many titties in that, man.
Yeah. But yeah, like the skin process is really cool. Like the only thing I wish that they would have shown like the hair dyeing process. It's the one thing I'm just a little. But yeah, it's actually a really cool, efficient way for them to show how she was created in about 20 seconds, 30 seconds or so.
Yeah, I
think it's my second favorite cyborg creation sequence. Number one still goes to RoboCop.
Okay. I like it.
But they do also show here that she has to still sleep because her brain is still real, so it still requires
brain has to rest.
Yeah,
and like also like a lot of like the muscle tissue we saw, like it looks like actual like muscle tissue, like fibers. So obviously there's still some biological.
Yeah, she's a cyborg, not an android, technically. So, yeah. And which there is a difference, and I've had this conversation with many people. A cyborg is a cybernetic organism. It's a living thing with cybernetic enhancements. A android is 100% synthetic.
So, it's a robot. And according to a robot is a slave.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, what is Android 18 then? Because
A misnomer.
Yeah, Dragon Ball messed that one up.
Yeah, they messed it up. Technically, she's a cyborg. They just don't call it correct in that. But also, didn't they have to? Didn't they have to? Wasn't the whole thing that Shenron had to put the organic parts back via wish?
Yeah, exactly. And I think technically the doctor who invented them all, he is a cyborg because he has also his brain in the body. I forgot.
Dr. Shirow.
Yeah, Dr. Rowe. I'm just trying to trip you up, and you're like, oh, smart.
No, it's a misnomer. Trust me. But I'm pretty certain that if I recall correctly, I haven't seen Dragon Ball like that portion of Dragon Ball Z in a long time. But if I recall correctly, Krillin specifically wishes that she has her organic parts back.
Yeah, they were actual human twins, I think.
Yeah,
originally,
Yeah, technically they're cyborgs. The only one that was full androids were Android 19 and Android 16.
Yeah,
if I recall correctly.
So I just want to say that I fucking love this screenshot, dude. I just think it's
me too.
Beautiful. There it is.
That's a picture. Yeah, that's just gorgeous. I love the lighting on that. It's like how I wake up every morning.
You lucky motherfucker. So yeah, what I'm gonna do now is say thank you, Mamoru Oshii. Did a great job directing this movie, man. Really, really great job. Lots of moving parts. I saw a couple of behind the scenes clips. Great job, man. Great job. Now I'm gonna do a ton of exposition because holy shit, there's a lot to break down in this scene. So bear with me. In this scene, you have the Chief Aramaki, who is on the left, who is visiting the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, whose representative is on the right of the screen. Now, what they're talking about is the Gavel Republic talks that will happen in a couple of days. Now, the Gavel Republic had a revolution in where the new government seeks financial aid from. Oh, hey, Lance, how you doing, man?
Thank you, Lance.
Thank you, Lance.
Good to see you, brother.
So the Gavel Republic basically has a new government after a revolution, and that new government seeks financial aid from the Japanese government, basically. But they're as bad as the last regime. Now they have Colonel Malice, who is seeking political asylum, and that colonel is the former Gavel leader of the old regime that they took down. Now, what they want to do is the Japanese, of course.
Uninspired. I'm just gonna correct you on something. It's pronounced Colonel.
Man, shut the fuck up.
I know that English is like your 15th language, but it's Colonel.
All right, Colonel.
Don't judge them too much if people decide to invade Russia during the winter.
All right.
No, I've always joked about that, and I used to make that same mistake when I was a kid. I was like, wait a minute, why a colonel? What the hell? And I found out that we're just stupid and just pronounce it really weird. No, it's Colonel though.
I'll say Colonel Malice. They want to deport him, but they need reason. And the last look that he gives him, what I'm talking about is the minister, basically. He just gives him the look of, yeah, I think we'll need Section 9 to do what they need to do, basically. Because they need reason to deport him. They need paperwork. Whereas Section 9 can just, pop a cap in his ass and he's done. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, they have a license to kill, whereas Section 6 only has a license to hack.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm surprised they don't talk about... I don't remember, but I'm surprised they don't talk about the morality of what they do. They just talk about the idea of ghosts and the what makes a human.
I think it's purposely left up to the interpretation of the viewer to decide whether or not it's things that they're doing are morally acceptable or not.
Yeah, I think it's
take one stance either way on purpose.
Yeah, and I think mostly it's they again going back to it, they left out a lot of stuff. I feel like if you just kill a foreign ambassador, there would be some blowback later on that would probably come back in the third act somehow.
Section 9 is a secret organization, right? At least it's supposed to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it would be really difficult for them to say who did it. I think is what they're going for. I mean, whether or not you'd believe that, but the diplomatic, like the whole diplomatic immunity thing, and they're like, we don't give a fuck about your diplomatic immunity.
I mean, that's very 80s and 90s action movie.
Yeah, I mean that might as well be right out of Lethal Weapon too.
Yeah.
Oh my
Lethal
god,
Weapon,
I was just thinking of that. It's been revoked.
Diplomatic immunity. So Hammer, you can't sue, can't touch me. Boom, 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 boom.
So, now that I've laid the groundwork, because Jesus, man, I didn't understand any of this the first time. What we do is,
I didn't
yeah,
either.
yeah. So what we learn is that what's happening in this scene is that on the table right now is the minister's interpreter who was hacked by the puppet master, and they think that the reason why the puppet master hacked her was because she might use them to attack the gavel peace talks that they had just set up in the scene prior. And what they're going to do right now is they're going to track the hacker, who they believe is the puppet master. And I just wanted to point out the great visuals of hacking. And since this is a still, you can't see it, but there's one of those tubes that keeps pulsating.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the blue one that keeps
You
pulsating.
like to go.
Yep. And so, yeah, so what they do is they go and find out the tracker. Well, they go and find out the hacker. They track the hacker. That's what I was trying to say. There we go. Now, this is the
There's the
conversation that we
trackers
have.
looking for the hacker.
Yeah.
They hack the track.
They got to track him before he hacks him.
Exactly.
I can
This
do
is
that
the
all day.
conversation
Just
that
I
we
can
have
keep
with,
fucking with the whole thing.
Togusa and, of course, the Major.
Togusa.
So the
Is
reason why they can track the hacker is because he's using outdated, easily traceable virus to ghost hack, which the Major suspects that they're using malice to be involved. You know, it's kind of a weird situation. And
basically, it's a hey, look, I'm over here, and it's a distraction tactic, is what she assumes it is.
Yep. One thing I wanted to compliment in this movie is the treatment of guns in this movie. I think that the fact that they give you a ton of time to show you the reload, to show you how they're doing everything with the guns, especially with the smooth animation, is also one of the things that I think the Matrix kind of took away, you know, because Matrix really does the gun fu pretty well, and this movie does it. They emphasize.
What was it? A gun? It's a gun kata. I think it's what they call it. Gun kata.
Gun kata, yeah. It's gun fu if it's Chinese. It's gun fu.
Gun fu. Yeah, it's gun fu is Chinese. Yeah.
But it also
room type stuff.
It also makes sense. Professional would just check all the equipment before they go to the field. So
they also keep track of which is something I always love. They keep track of the ammo really well in this movie.
How many rounds they've gone through?
How many rounds they've gone through? How and she has to reload. And they do it especially for Togusa because he has a 6-shooter. And which is part of his character is because he's supposed to be like the most obsolete of obsolete, essentially. Like a human is the most obsolete thing in this world, basically. And he has an extremely obsolete gun. And
they even go in Standalone Complex. They even go into that the idea that him having a preference of a gun is bad because he doesn't have
emotional attachment to it.
Yeah, emotional attachment. And they try and get information out of Section 9 through Togusa.
Yeah, he has. That's actually a great point. Is that he has the emotional attachment to it, whereas her and Bato specifically are very practical about what they're using. In fact, they even mention it multiple times throughout. It's like, oh, this is what you should use. It makes sense to use this in this scenario. Whereas he's just like, nah, I like this. I like this a lot. And he mentions it multiple times that he loves this gun, despite the fact it's not the right thing he should be using in most scenarios.
I mean, the Matiba is really cool. It's a really rare revolver. It shoots out of the bottom barrel to help with recoil, and the reason most revolvers don't do that is because it's really hard to machine a gun that way quickly, and it's really complicated, overly complicated. But look at the Matiba; it's a really cool gun.
Yeah.
I didn't realize
Also, it just kind of calls
that
back
actually
to
makes
like kind
sense
of the old
now.
classic Western feel.
That actually makes sense. I didn't know much about the gun itself, but the fact that when they show him reloaded, he puts the one round later and it's at the bottom. I didn't even know that. I didn't even think of that.
And so yeah, so now we finally meet our garbage men, which I they're not in the movie for long, but I really like them, especially the English dub. I think it gives the dude that thinks that he has a wife and kid. I think that they give him so much emotion, where I really like the English dub on that aspect. So what they're doing right now is that the trash men are being used to kind of ghost hack. So what they want to do is this man on the right, basically, his story is that he wants to ghost hack his wife because she left him, and the kid, his only kid, he specifies. He said, "My only kid is the one that put the idea of him being the cheater, which is why he got himself his own apartment." Now, he's been given a what they call a barrier breaker, which is what he's using right now. And he's been using it on the route to ghost hack his wife, which is what he thinks he's doing, because the way that he's been told that it's doing right now is going to be very hard to trace. So that's kind of the setup that we get in these like 1 to 2 minutes. And so we have Ishikawa, who's on the left, and Bato, who we've already seen on the right, who are tracing, of course, the signal, which is the garbage men.
Which are one character who is really underutilized and really Ishikawa is very underdeveloped. Probably the most underdeveloped character. Even the captain gets better. Sorry, I forget his name all of a sudden. My brain's not working that well this morning.
Aramaki.
I actually almost forgot about this character.
Yeah, like Aramaki is barely in the movie gets better development than him. So it's a they almost could have just folded his character in with the other characters. So it's weird. He has one scene in the show. He has more development, but in the movie, he's very underdeveloped. As Ethan Monk even said that right here.
Yeah. So right now, what they do is of course they find out that it's the trash car that's doing it, because they missed a trash pickup. So you have just a dude that pops out of his house. He's like, "Hey man, the trash man was doing a phone call. I thought that I had time to go and pick out my trash, but he's gone already." So that's how they know. And the major taps into the trash
network.
HQ.
It's the network. By the way, that's the most relatable part. The guy running down with the garbage trying to get to the truck in time. That's by far the most relatable part in this movie. I think we've all been in that scenario multiple times in our lives.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. And so the major basically goes into the network and tracks down which specific truck it is. And this is where we get what I talked to you guys about, where he's saying the story of his wife and his kid. And keep in mind the photo, which will be relevant in just a couple of minutes.
Yeah, this part's always depressing. I always find this.
Yeah.
And
it's
Go ahead, Jacob.
They don't focus on it as much. I mean, not, but it's really scary, the idea of being hacked. The idea that you just have memories. I don't know what I would do in that situation. Like, I just think I have this.
I think we would all have the exact same reaction as him, which is essentially to have a nervous breakdown.
And apparently some of the memories won't return, or you will permanently just believe you have another life.
This is how they explain it. They explain it really quickly, but this is essentially how what they explain in that short period of time. We're not quite there yet, but I'll jump ahead slightly.
Yeah, dude.
Is that they can't recover his old. It's like a computer, right? If you completely wipe a hard drive, you can't recover all of that data. You can recover some of it. Some there will be remnants. You might be able to piece together things if you have the proper technology, but for the most part, it's just destroyed data. If you're able to recover 10% of a wiped hard drive, that's a lot. You're talking about like 1-2% is maybe what's left in there if it's wiped. And
they don't focus on this movie, but in the sequel, there's a whole sequence of, I equate it to the when Sasuke and Itachi first meet in the Uchiha hideout. In the second one, you see how hacking really works and how it affects your brain,
Mm-hmm.
and how you really don't know what begins and what ends.
So, as for the memories that are implanted, they're essentially malware. And that's kind of what he's acting as right now. He's sort of a Trojan horse for malware. And his brain and this guy as well, it's been embedded so deep that unless they would need to completely wipe them again, and that might still, basically what they're saying is some of those remnants might still be there. It'll be like that. And your brain still works like this. You kind of have like those distant memories from when you're a kid, but you can't quite piece together the exact details. It would be kind of like that in the back of their minds. It would always be, oh man, I kind of remember something like that. And no matter what they do,
deja vu.
Yeah, deja vu kind of stuff.
It's like a hard night of drinking.
Yeah,
I remember
or that too, or a blackout night.
Oh yeah,
but that's basically what they're saying.
You were there.
That's basically what they're saying is that the wiped memories, all they can recover is the same amount that might get like left over by the malware.
Yeah, and just to bounce back on what Dark Hour said about this dude also being hacked, I'll get it now so that we can go through it. So basically, what he thinks is that Gavel, the place that we talked about before, commissioned him to assault the meeting about Gavel. That's what he thinks his job is. However, he's just another puppet. That was exactly what it is. It was a simulated experience, a fake memory. In reality, he's just like a normal low-level crook.
Yeah, he's like a petty. He's like a petty.
Actually,
he's literally a peddler.
If you could go back just before we leave it, because I just want to talk just the production design in this animation. Like look how, I don't know. It's just the colors.
By the way, that's definitely a rub and tug place, right? To his.
The massage steam bath.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, that's definitely like you can get whatever you want there.
Oh man, I can tell you here in Japan, those places are in every community. Like every small city has an area like that, and they hang out. And the
reason why you can tell that that's I'm going to tell you this: the reason why you could tell that that's a rub and tug place, it's the only sign that's in English.
Cast a wide net, catch many fish. This is what we always.
Yeah. I even have some more stills in just a few about like when they give you, the big billboards with everything there. Like, yeah, production design is
it's just like I just like you can feel it here. Like it looks grimy. It looks humid. It looks like you can.
It almost looks like a cartoon that's superimposed on a real street. That's how.
Yeah. It almost looks like it's rotoscoped. Yeah.
Yep.
It looks so like if he wasn't there, it would be a real picture. That's how good that is designed.
No, totally, man.
Anime, I feel like does this a lot. There's anything that doesn't move looks more realistic than anything that. There's like almost three different types of animation on each other all at once.
Yep.
And just different levels of fidelity.
I don't remember where this is from, but there was a gag. I think it might have been Looney Tunes or an anime or something. But there's this gag in an anime or in Looney Tunes where everything in the background looks really well, and then
I agree with Heathen Monk. He is gorgeous. Heathen Monk.
I looks gorgeous. Me speak English.
Nah, Heathen Monk's great. He's one of my
Heathen Monk
drivers.
We get it. It does look gorgeous.
But I couldn't let that one slide there, buddy. You do look gorgeous.
So it's like basically what they do is they have the background that's animated, and the background you can clearly see it's like this. It's static. There's a ton of detail, and the characters are walking, and there's a bridge, but they see that the bridge is like drawn to the point where like that something's gonna happen if they step on it because it's animated differently. I don't remember where that gag was from, but
it's okay.
They were probably joking like the old Hanna-Barbera cartoons, like Scooby-Doo and Flintstones and stuff, where it's like it'll be like a bookshelf and all the books are static, and then one is like kind of jittering a little bit. It's like a bright color. It's like he's gonna get that book.
Or it's specifically like all of them are gray and that one is red.
I don't know if you want to keep talking about this, but talking about animation.
Go ahead.
if you've seen any current stuff, how do you think it compares? Do you like the older style? Do you like the newer style? I prefer
I think this era, this like when they were still doing this style is the best looking because the details are the more modern computer assisted stuff is all looks very similar across the board, unfortunately. That's not just with anime, that's with all animation all across everywhere.
And not just animation, but for me, films in general. I feel like the 80s to the mid 90s was like the golden era of like production designs.
And I think a lot of it has to do that film reel was just costing a lot and it was limited. You had a limited budget. They would just grant you a couple of miles of film for the whole shoot, and so you had to make the best of it. And now digitally, we'll just do another take. It doesn't cost us anything. I feel like people don't think as much about the framing, about the shot as they used to.
This was when they were still using actual film, right?
Yeah,
right. Because they were.
Yeah, this one had to be.
They didn't really switch. They didn't switch over massively into digital until like everything went full digital in like the late 2000s. They were still like they were still using film up until that point. I mean, it wasn't exclusive.
2010s,
and you have to really think about it. Like the film reel was budgeted in, and they wouldn't give you more. Like you had to make it work. And I think
and once it's used, it's used. You can't unuse it.
Exactly.
Jesus. So what's going on right now is the fact that the trash company said that someone was in their system, which of course was the major, and so they tell these the trash guys that, hey man, police is after you. So this guy takes the wheel and he goes to see the dude who gave him the breaker card, and of course, let me just play the clip, man, because shit goes foobar, and I like it. I love
this part.
I've got this one with audio, so let's play the clip. Man, I love how he changes his stance when he goes to like the armor-piercing bullets. You can clearly see that it takes, it takes the wind out of him.
Well, it's
the best part is the recoil in the gun and pushing him back slightly. I love that little detail. Just goes back a few centimeters.
They're called HV bullets. Specifically, it's high velocity ammo is what it is. That's why it pushes him back so much. It's not just armor piercing. It's overpacked with extra gunpowder. So that's why the explosions are so much stronger.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm like it's still a pistol caliber round. Maybe I'm thinking too much.
Well, no. Here's the thing: he's actually using the wrong ammo.
Yeah,
he's modified it that the machine pistol. It's modified to use ammo that's way too strong for its.
Okay. I thought the ammo
which is what jammed his gun, because Bato says that when they catch him, they say that it jammed your gun because you're using the wrong bullets for the wrong gun.
Yeah, basically it was modified. My guess is they never explain it, but my guess is that he probably widened the barrel like manually so that way larger rounds could go through it. They never explain exactly how he was able to use the wrong ammo, but it was clear that he had modified the gun in some way.
I remember that. I thought it was just plus P ammo, but it's completely different ammo.
Yeah, it's not the proper ammo. It's essentially he's using the gun wrong. That's the best way I can put it.
Yep. And so right now a chase ensues, of course, because he's using the thermo
in Chinatown. Of course, it's always happens in Chinatown.
And there's always a guy who's like, "I've never seen a gun before." And please tell me, for Cinema, you have a video on your channel about the guy, the poor bastard who gets blasted away in the middle of this scene too. He's just buying like bananas and just gets shot.
Oh, he does.
I got the one for the guy on Total Recall on the escalator. That's one of the worst ones ever. Just
I'm gonna have to check all of these out later. I only watched your live stream. You have to check out your other stuff now.
Dude, you should, man. So yeah, Fermented, this is what I was talking to you about, the other slides.
Oh yeah, it's gorgeous.
Really compliment.
I love it.
And this one especially.
Yeah, the water effect here works really wonderfully too. I love the animation here, and even just like the depth of the alleyway there. It's just so gorgeous to look at.
Yeah, dude, I never noticed like the depth of the alleyway. It looks really, really good.
Go ahead, Jake.
I enjoy sort of the he runs onto the water and you think he's safe, because you can see the major coming. So you're like, oh, he's gonna see her, it's gonna be all this, but no. He can't even find where she is, and when he does, he's completely out of ammo. It's a good escalation there. Mini escalation.
Actually, if he would have been looking for her reflection instead of her, he would have found her easily, because her reflection is still on the water, as you saw in that right there.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. So if he would have actually known what to look for, he would have found her easily. Here's right here. Out of ammo, which is the first time they
Rachel
really showed that.
100%.
Oh, sorry. Which was this the one?
Yeah, the depth and richness of detail, man. That's true.
And just the texture and the feel, like again, it feels like you can touch it and it would feel grimy. Like it feels like you could feel like the moss.
Yeah, like that moss, that like algae right there, whatever it is. It looks like real. The rust stains on the concrete look.
Rust stains. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't quite have it, but he does turn around and blast at Bato and nail the dude.
Those
like
poor watermelons
with just high velocity rounds at very close range. It basically disintegrates the dude.
Even the bullet shredding is one of the things that I really appreciate in hand-drawn animation that we don't get today. You see when bullets hit the wood, the way that the wood just disintegrates. It's something that we had in Akira. It's something that we have in this. It's something that
we're gonna do Akira eventually on this.
I also think it's because
they're a great one.
If you look at the action, it's all a locked-off shot. Like every single one, there's barely any camera movement, so the actual still frame has to do all the work for you. That's
true.
I'll tell you, trying to animate camera movements is such a pain in the ass.
Yeah, but that's why
hard.
If you have a still frame, you have to just make it work for us. And what I also like, and this is something I really miss in modern movies, is the editing. They do a lot of double ups. They like keep the action from different angles. I remember you guys did Kickboxer. That was like one of the last films where I remember it had that style. And I kind of miss it because it just emphasizes the action much better.
That's true.
I know absolutely nothing about animation. I just look at it and just say, this must have taken a whole lot of time. You have to draw it several times, and I'm like,
actually, not because it's a limited reel. You would have to decide on one shot, and you have to get it right. Basically, you can't do different takes like with digital.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's why they were so limited. That's why it's looking so good.
But yeah,
you can't just move your cam when you're doing classic 2D animation. It's like, all right, this is the angle I chose. I can't just adjust the camera now a little over this way. No, you got to, because every alignment and angle will be wrong. And
I personally try to force myself to think about when I direct something. I try to limit myself, but we don't need 10 takes. Like just get it right the first time, and then we make little improvements if they are really necessary. Because it's people, you have to think about all these little details, and I feel like this just translated so well. It just comes.
But
across
Jacob, I think
if you go back to the previous shot of all the signs again, just I'll tell you, like doing animations. This is one of the most fun parts, is when you got a background animation and you're like, all right, time to liven up the area, and you're just thinking of, like, right now I can just imagine the artist that did this just writing every sign. Just like, okay, and there's going to be a sign for this. There's going to be a laundromat sign. We're going to have a sign for a brothel. And just
where's the rub and tug sign? Where's the rub and tug sign?
Well, what's interesting? It's
probably the one with the arrow, 300 meters this way.
300 meters this way.
You guys have probably seen a bunch of Werner Herzog films, right?
Yeah,
he's generally considered one of the best directors out there, and he has like this philosophy of like he doesn't need coverage. He says he literally said cowards do coverage because you should know what you want. If you know what you want, you won't be shooting all over the place. He says
this is a great desktop. This actually, if you wanted like a good desktop background, this is it. Yeah. Anybody who wants it right now, just take that screenshot.
just DM me on Twitter, dude. I'll send you the screenshot. But
hold on, before we move on too far, I want to mention something that Jacob said. Jacob said that he like looked at it and it's really good. I think you fall into the category about 90 to 95% of people who are like look at it and they have an appreciation, but don't understand the depth of what goes on. I would say that's 95% of people, and I would say, and in that 5% of people who understand it, I would say even less than 1% truly understand it.
Well, especially because you have to factor in the fact that this is a 90s movie as well, with the 90s animation techniques that they had back then in comparison to now. You know,
well, we've mentioned Dragon Ball a few times. I'll ask Jacob specifically. Do you know who Akira Toriyama's least favorite villain to draw was?
No.
It was Cell. And the reason why he hated drawing Cell is because Cell had all of the little like
dots.
Yeah, dots all over his body, and he needed to make sure they were always in the same spots.
Oh my god!
It was final form Cell, right?
Yes. I think it was specifically final form Cell he hated. That's why like he at certain points like, he went back to imperfect Cell because he was a little bit easier to draw.
Well, that's like a couple of times I've drawn characters and stuff, and it's like I give him like beard stubble or something, but then I want to move the mouth. I'm like, oh fuck, now I got to move the beard stubble, make sure it matches. And like, god damn it, like.
Yep.
Fermented. You're from Japan, right?
I'm living in Japan 11 years now.
Okay. Do you recognize any of the places like in Jujutsu Kaisen and stuff like that? You can like they put actual places, like they draw actual places in the anime.
I've seen there's lots of animes like that. I was actually in Tokyo about 6 months ago, and my friend and I were walking around.
Came out right there. I heard you.
And we went into I'm slipping up my cover here. Oh shit! And we went like, and there's like 1,000 streets, like back alley streets that they're pretty like this, right? And they're just full of restaurants and little bars and pubs and stuff. You walk down them, and then there was this one we walked down, and again, just looked like nondescript like the other one before, no difference. But there was a lineup of foreigners, not Japanese, but a lineup of foreigners that stretched all the way along the block, went up the alley, and we're like, what the hell is this about? And it was a bar like every other bar. It's got like 8 seats inside. You just grab a beer. I'm like, why are they all going here? There's like 50 other bars just like this all around here. Why didn't they go to them? So we looked it up, and sure enough, it's because it was a bar that was like featured not in an anime, but in a game.
Oh, those damn guys.
Yeah, it was featured in a game, so of course they all got to go there. And I'm just like, damn, probably like winning the lottery, where it's like your friend's a gamer, it's like, hey, I put your bar in the game. You better get ready for like.
Do you know?
So when I would, go ahead.
Do you know which game? Was it one of the Yakuza games? Because they have a lot of stuff directly from.
I know Konoha's in Japan. There's a Konoha like restaurant.
I
will say this. Being from New Jersey.
And Ron is right. Hail there. Thank you, sir. He's lived in Japan for 19 years. Oh, nice.
I was going to say, being from New Jersey, back before Kevin Smith was an embarrassment to my home state, it used to be like kind of a thing that you would do if you liked his movies, was to kind of go to the locations where they were filmed, because like the Quick Stop is a real place, and like that wasn't like a building that they made up for the original Clerks. That's like that was just what it was. You walk in, it looks exactly like I don't know if it still exists, because I went there years ago. I'm talking like 20 years ago at this point. But and like now, you go to
you get them for free.
Yeah, but yeah, there's like a lot of like little like all the locations that they filmed are still for at least when I did it, it used to be like a little pilgrimage. Oh, this is where they filmed this in Clerks. This is where they filmed this in the portion in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. And he had the secret stash over in Red Bank, which is not that far from me, so I would take that trip. And that was the comic book store from that they used as Brody's secret stash. So I can understand why people make those pilgrimages. Had I known the direction that Kevin Smith was eventually going to go, I wouldn't have wasted my time.
Oh man, he's so embarrassing now. It's like, how many times has he cried?
Heathen Monk has it right here, Leonardo.
There's Kevin Smith crying right now.
It first started with the Masters of the Universe stuff, right? I remember that.
Well, I think he cried before that already, right?
That's he cried for Star Wars first. That was really the one that he like. That was
I think that's when it became routine, though, where his crying
it was, and the whole thing was, my father didn't let me cry. It's like, shut the fuck up.
Hey, I cried when I got to the end of the Walking Dead video game.
But did you go on Twitter with a picture of yourself with tears going, looking like you just got assaulted?
But he doesn't look like there is Vegeta crying, and then there's just being glumbering fool type. Crying.
Yeah. It's like pointless crying at this point. Where it's like, dude, just like
blubbering fool type of crying. So
it's like it was because his definitely came off as please hire me for a job. Like that's really what it is. Like I really want to work for Lucasfilm. That's what it came off as, not as I'm genuinely, I genuinely am crying. I'm crying because I want you to think I care about the bullshit that you're putting out, so you'll hire me.
Why would he have to beg like that? Like he knew people. He knew before he died. He knew
because he's a man, and to get a job in Lucasfilm is really hard when you have a penis.
I bet your dad didn't let you stick your hand on a hot stove either. That's dumb logic.
My dad didn't let me work for Lucasfilm.
So going back to Ghost in the Shell, I did have the clip of the final kick that she gives him, and then she reveals with the max. So let me just play that for a second.
Can you imagine getting your ass beat by a naked chick? Like that would just that would fuck with your head so much worse than the actual.
Depends on the guy. Depends on the guy. I guess some people would enjoy it. But
I love camouflaged, all right.
At least I get to look at something nice that you're kicking my ass.
What was it? I was about to say something and I lost it. Sorry, go on.
If a naked chick's kicking your ass, at least the last thing you see is something nice.
But
I was going to say that the actual the slowdown on the kick is so that looks so much like a fighting game. The way they do that, it's perfect. It's like it's like that slowdown as the KO at the end of like Street Fighter.
Thelvir, what were you gonna say, man?
No, it's just the editing was perfect there. Like I miss those double ups and just repeat the action a little bit. Jackie Chan used to do that all the time in his editing, or still does, I think.
Yeah,
I haven't seen anything new.
The impact. Yeah. They anymore.
Yeah, and I was watching a movie recently where I was just bored to death, which was Black Adam. It's like there are literal gods fighting, and I'm bored. It's like, and it's because of a lot of it is the editing, and a lot of it is just the framing. They don't emphasize, like, these are people who can warp space-time around them when they punch, and I don't feel it. It's like, that's what I'm saying.
It's also a lot of films these days don't have, like, especially like Marvel or like DC stuff, there's no consequences.
Yeah, exactly.
So
you Jackie Chan, you used to see always hurt. He would always get in trouble and then actually feel pain through the action.
Get fucked up.
Yeah.
He would legitimately get injured on every.
Yeah,
Jackie Chan broke his ankle in Vancouver when he was filming. So my home city, and when he was filming Rumble in the Bronx, it's the scene when he jumps onto the hovercraft and he broke his ankle doing that stunt. So he was at the hospital in Vancouver for a while.
But in anime, they even still do it, even like if it's not a John McClane type character, even if it's like gods, like even the characters in Naruto and Dragon Ball, they all look bloodied, they look sweaty, they look like you tire out eventually.
Tired.
Yeah.
I always go back to I was episode 400 and something of Naruto. They after they have their big anime, bust up, the two of them, the animation really improves. They knock out teeth, blood gets sprayed, if you remember that, and that was always the best part of the fight for me. It felt more grounded. It felt more like it just felt more visceral.
Yeah, I think any Kakashi fight in Naruto could basically be a great example of a visceral fight scene, because he's always using his hands, and they just draw out the animation really, really well for that. And
it's also in the writing. You would write that down, like you have a little beat in your action sequence, in your action description, where you just say, "Oh, he's taking a breather, he's taking a beat to regain posture," or something like. But with Hollywood, it's just too flawless, too easy.
And I especially like not to get too much into Naruto, the stuff like Sasuke would use Naruto's hands to finish a sign, or
that is the final showdown between the two. Yeah, I love that one. Yeah.
Or Sasuke knew Naruto was gonna use the Shadow Clone Jutsu, so he's gonna stop him. I really enjoy stuff like that. Attack, counterattack. Dark Hour, I know you talked about doing some type of fighting.
I'm a jiu-jitsu brown belt. I used to box and do Muay Thai years ago before I got like multiple concussions, which probably comes across in the way that I speak.
CTE, man.
So my CTE settles in from time to time. But the realism in fights is something that even someone who's not a trained fighter can pick up on.
I just did wrestling in high school.
Yeah. So
one of the greatest fights of all time is in oh, Jesus Christ. Now my brain went.
I think I know where you're going. It's a They Live. Yeah.
They Live. Yes. They Live. Because it just felt so real and so visceral. And so, like,
it doesn't matter how limited your understanding of real fighting is. You can tell when someone doesn't actually take the proper amount of damage from a punch. Like, you can tell when they're just no-selling everything.
Well, that's why, like, so much of like Lucasfilm, like contemporary under Disney, Lucasfilm, like, it's garbage because it's so, I don't know, like,
people have never been punched in the face who make this stuff now. It's like,
because like in the old, of course, this isn't animation, but in the old days, it's like actors actually get rough and tumbled. You go out live to real locations. You're filming in the rain in the swamp. You're filming this and you get cold, you get hot, you get sometimes blows land when they're not supposed to. And so they would feel it. But now it's like they're just like in an air conditioned room with all green screens. And we got our, don't worry, we got our sensitivity officer here and our poo-poo officer there. Don't worry, they're going to pamper you. You won't get PTSD from, It's like, it's such garbage now, and it comes out like garbage. It's just
to answer Ivy's question, I would start with this film. I would start with the original movie. I would start with the original, the 95 original cut. And if you enjoy it, if you want to rewatch it, then maybe rewatch the 2.0 cut. Then go from there. You don't need to watch the second movie. If you really enjoy it, you can go right into the show. At that point, so they're technically different timelines anyway.
I was let down by the second movie. Be honest, you could just watch just this film and just, no pun intended, a standalone film, and that's good.
Yeah. Standalone Complex is good as well, though. I really enjoy Standalone Complex.
They are on different timelines. I wasn't entirely sure because
so the movie is not, the movie and the shows are technically unrelated.
Okay, because like some of their, like the Major has purple hair before this movie. They do a flashback when Bato and the Major. I was like, that doesn't seem right, but that makes more sense.
A lot of the time, what ends up happening is when a movie is very popular and they want to turn a show, and this happens with like Western movies and animation as well. It's almost like they start from scratch again and sort of retell the story. That's why I said earlier the Puppet Master in this kind of gets retold in a way through the Laughing Man. The hacking concepts stuff. They sort of redo it in a slightly different way.
It's also because like the medium of television and a film is so completely different that you almost have to retool your entire, like, not premise, but like character arcs and all that type of stuff has to be dealt with very differently.
So going back to what's happening on screen right now, we have the Chief Aramaki, who's basically just surveilling the I was about to say the Griselda peace talks for some reason. The Gavel peace talks. I don't know why Griselda popped up in my head, but yeah, the Gavel. Yeah, dude, I don't know why.
The drug dealer peace talks that are going on somewhere.
Yeah, so
the drug dealers are making a peace talk. They are going to join first.
They've decided one's going to sell coke and the other's going to sell heroin, and they're just not going to cross over.
Pablo Escobar on his way.
So the Gavel talks are being surveilled by Chief Aramaki, and so yeah, that's what's going on, and we get the information that we had already brushed through, of course, that Gavel had commissioned the hacked human that we had just seen taken down by the Major. That's what we learned in that scene that we had already covered. But now we have the interrogation of the trash man, and this poor dude, man, it's what we said before, that he's basically experienced a simulated experience. That's what they call it. And I just wanted to highlight this chat from Rachel Percy Art. It would destroy you. It's similar to the people that have reported dreaming an entire lifetime and waking up to everyone you knew being gone. Yeah.
That's what Captain Picard had in with the Inner Light.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just feel like the emotion that they managed to portray through this man, just through animation, is fantastic. You know, I mean, just look at the way he goes from this to this, and then we finally get the reveal of the picture that he was looking at, which was supposedly of his wife and child. It's just
him.
It looks like it's him at like an ATM. That's like almost what that looks like. One of those little cameras.
No, it's his Tinder profile pic.
So I mean, one little subtle thing that they do is that his partner never actually, when they're in the truck, never looks at the picture. Yeah. And I almost think that they could. Yeah, they. I almost feel like they could have actually had some fun with that. And when he would have, as he's saying, he's like, yeah, just look at him. If they would have just kind of had the partner look over and be like,
what is wrong with you?
Yeah, like just kind of go back to sleep, like slowly, like in the corner. Like I think that could have actually set up for it slightly better.
You know what I just noticed? That's kind of even Seta. I always thought that's his dog, but it's not
his
dog.
His dog. Yeah, I just noticed that too. Actually, so I always thought, oh, he's walking his dog.
Yeah, no, it doesn't even have a dog. Oh my god.
Yeah, he does have a good head of hair, though. He's got a nice hairline.
He's got a nice hairline. He's got a classic vampire widow speak.
Yeah.
But I will say one thing that I noticed, like I don't want to say dates it, but like I guess a little bit of this show is they're holding a physical picture. And I was saying, when's the last time I printed out a physical picture?
I also think there is a couple things watching it now. I was like, why? Like if you would write this now, they could just disable the truck. Like we can disable cars remotely, or
they would disable remote. Also, there's like the graphic where it's like at the command center, and there's like the women their hands like expand out to like go to several keyboards.
Yeah,
it's cool, and I like it, but I'm like these days I'm like, no, they would just be linked into the computer. It wouldn't even be a physical interaction.
I specifically asked Uninspired to clip that the guy with the multiple.
It looks great,
I love it. Oh, you have it. Nice.
Here we go. Yeah.
I love that. I wish I had this because the amount of typos that I have would go through the roof if I could type that quickly.
To more the car stuff. What they do now is, I just saw a news article about this. Apparently, what they do now is they just shoot a tracker at your car. They don't even have to chase you. They just wait for you to stop.
Well, that's kind of what they do here. They didn't need to chase. They didn't need to chase them later in the movie, but they do anyway because it's more cinematic.
Although you know what? Again, I'll say it is Japan, and living here, they do love holding on to their old technologies. I literally used a fax machine just last week.
Oh my god. I don't even think I've seen a fax machine ever in my life working.
They're alive and well here in Japan. It's the land of high-tech robots and fax machines.
My old job, we had to do like when the computer systems would go down, like if we lost our email client for a little while, we would have to fax things. It was like I was like, what the hell? Am I living in the 1800s? What's going on here?
Air Force One still has a fax machine. I just saw they did GQ or whatever they talked about the present plane still had like 90s technology in it for some reason.
So a lot of the like safety bunkers that they have for the president do have older technology in them, because if digital technology goes down, we need to have analog stuff to like if there is a nuclear attack, we would need analog stuff to communicate with each other. So
it's also harder like to trace and hack and stuff. Well, that's why like what just happened with Hezbollah.
Remote teletype.
That's why they had all beepers
really hard
and shit like pagers.
Yeah, pagers. Yeah.
What was that called? Like the funniest comment I saw that was the grim beeper. That was.
Yeah. I just saw Angry Cop did a video on them.
And this is true too. They have the Polaroid cameras came back. They actually have them where they're smaller now, and you just pop in like a little like clip, and it's like
my buddy has one of those, man. They're pretty convenient, dude. Like really convenient. And
sometimes you just want a physical picture. And, it's it's fun.
And you know what? There's always gonna be hipsters. There's always gonna be a hipster to keep a VCR going. There's always gonna be.
That's true.
I actually recently saw an advertisement for like a USB connector to a VHS, and I was like, but they put the video up on the computer, and it was in like 16:9 ratio, and I was like, that doesn't make any sense. That would
make sense.
He used 4:3 ratio for video. What are you doing?
I still remember. I'm 25, so I'm quite younger than you guys.
Well, no, you're older than Inspired.
I'm literally the youngest between all of us, dude. I'm 22.
Okay,
am I the oldest?
He's just more mature than me. It doesn't mean that he's older than me.
I might be the oldest. I'm 39.
I still remember the cameras that you could get at the pharmacy. You know, the yellow ones that you would click and then you would take it to the pharmacy.
Yeah, the
Fun savers. Yeah, they were called fun savers.
I think they still technically make those. I think they still make those. It's just there's not a whole aisle full of them anymore.
Yeah, it's true.
Kodak Fun Saver. Yeah, I used to get those all the time as a kid. And you go on like a family trip and you just snap around and develop your film. I do miss developing film. I love the wait to see what your pictures actually look like. And it's like, but nowadays, digital. And
it was always the one that had the terrible red eye that you were like, damn it. Now picture's so good besides it. But this scene, I actually love this scene because
this is a great scene. This is probably the heart of the film
for a second. So they're out on the in the ocean, and the Major, if you go back one slide, Major was diving, and Bato has a conversation with her about, why do you even do this? Like, first of all, your body could sink like a rock. He points that out, that she weighs fucking like 300-400 pounds. She would just go down like it was nothing if the technology ceased. But she essentially says that it allows her to feel like the closest thing she can to a human, because and it's funny because Bato in the show lifts weights, but he has cybernetic enhancements that don't allow him to get any stronger. So he just does it out of habit.
The Major mentions that. Why do you do that?
Yeah.
He doesn't really say why, but that's probably the reason.
It's because it's part of his routine that he did as a human. So he just does it anyway, which is kind of that's kind of what she's saying, is that this is like the closest thing I'm still trying to do things that at least make me feel like I'm a person. Because my personality is still unique to me, and I like doing this. It doesn't matter if it doesn't make sense.
And there's still there in the show. There's cyborg food. It doesn't really help you. It's the taste. You're programmed to do that.
Mm-hmm. Well, the question is like the reason why I love the anime so much more than the 2017 live action one is like the 2017 live action one is just. For me, it was just female RoboCop. It's just she goes on a journey of self-discovery, and she doesn't remember her past. Here, I feel like the big theme for this one is you guys probably have heard the idea of the ship paradox, the ship of Theseus.
So how many pieces of a ship you could replace before it's no longer the same ship?
Exactly. So that's what.
Which one's the original? You can rebuild.
And I think that the big difference with this one is you can feel the people who wrote this, they do believe in a soul. And your soul doesn't go away. It probably transmutes in some form or something, like in alchemical terms. But you are still you. Doesn't matter how much you replace. And I feel like it also kind of makes a lot of sense because I just recently
that's the main the true main through line of the whole thing is what is human. how much of you needs to, or does it even require organics? Because technically, you know, as we find out later, the puppet master is developing a personality and memories and all this stuff, and has zero organics to it.
Yeah.
So, you know, the major,
but even as an organic, you are already, like I just read, you replace all your cells every 7 years. So
yeah, like technically we're not the same person as we were, you know.
That's creepy. I hate that.
Yeah,
every 8 years,
we're technically a
body.
copy. Yeah, we're technically a copy of what we were.
But it makes sense. You exist in a temporal space. You would continue. Like, people forget that you exist in 4 dimensions, not just 3. So even if you like, your identity is not your constitution, it's like the whole aspect of your temporal space as well.
The continuation of your self-awareness is essentially what I would say that the soul is. It's weird. Unfortunately with this, guys, it's midnight here in Japan, and I gotta wake up early tomorrow morning. It's Monday morning.
Yeah, all right, well, it was great to have you on, man. We'll get you on a different
dude.
time
And well, just give him a second. Fermented, it is time to plug your shit, my friend. Let the people know what you're doing, where you're gonna be, what you're gonna do, and of course, ladies and gentlemen, his channel is linked in the description. So Fermented, let the people know what you're doing, man.
Yes. Please join. I'm actually working on a few videos right now. It's gonna slowly trickle out. One's my demands for Terminator 7, so just gonna be a quick video on that. Then I'm also working on a video. This one's kind of bizarre, maybe esoteric topic, but I discovered this like mid-90s sitcom that lasted only for 8 episodes, and I couldn't believe it because like the baby character in it is like Stewie Griffin and Roger the Alien, and I was like, oh my god, like this is definitely where Seth MacFarlane got it. It wasn't The Simpsons. This is where he got it from. So I'm making a video on that. Also working on my next cartoons. My next cartoon is the Snap in Infinity War. So all the tragic stories of what's happening when the snap occurs, and the horrible but yet hilarious outcomes of that. And then and next live stream I hope is going to be with you again. Uninspired Reviewer. Yeah, which would be great. So I'm going to be preparing for that too. So so please subscribe, like, share, write your congressman, all the good stuff.
Dude, it was a pleasure having you on, man. Have a great night, and of course, I'll text you on Twitter for the Return of the Living Dead stream, dude.
Awesome, excellent, thanks a lot. Thank you, Electric Goat. Thank you very much, and thank you, Heathen Monk, and everyone in the chat. Also, really nice reading your comments today.
Thanks for coming on, man. See you. We'll get you on again soon. See you.
Yeah, I hope to come on again in the future. So from Japan,
sure.
Sayonara.
Arigato.
See you, man.
I think I just offended a few people, but that's okay.
My guess is that didn't go. That Tommy's probably not going to be joining us today, which is unfortunate. Because if he hasn't made it by now, I'm guessing he's not going to, and it sucks because I was looking forward to having Tommy on, but we'll get him on in the near future as well.
For sure, man. Yeah.
I was about to mention difference between human and cyborg. I think that's what a big part of what religion seeks to understand. The that life matters. It has to matter. Some people need to think that there's a reason for everything. I personally think, well, the only reason for anything happening is the reason that you give it. You don't. But I think that's what religion. Am I being stupid?
No. I think you actually were correct there. I think that, and that's kind of what the major says, is that she has a personality, and the only thing attaching things to what she does is what makes her her. And if she just was a robot without any consciousness, and none of this would matter. She wouldn't care about doing randomly going like scuba diving. And it kind of plays into later in the movie where she makes decisions that aren't necessarily the most logical one to make, because she feels it's the correct thing to do.
Her instinct was correct, like why she has Togusa on board. Basically,
Yeah.
because of Togusa, they actually succeed in the end because he basically his human instinct is what helped him out in the end. He sensed that something is wrong, and what I like. Oh man, where was I going? I think I blank. Now I'm blanking.
That kind of happens when you lose somebody on the panel. It kind of flow.
No, what I going back to the attention on detail. If we go back when she's diving up, you see that backpack that she has, like that helps her with buoyancy. In the live action one, she doesn't have one. They didn't even think about those little details, and
that's true.
To me, that's just this is a much better script in general.
What I don't like in the live action version is there's clearly a difference between Scarlett Johansson and the skin suit or whatever they have her put on for the naked scenes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, that clearly she clearly looked different. I was like, well, clearly she looks cyborg there. She looks like just a regular human there. That kind of cognitive dissonance always threw me.
I see what you mean, dude. But yeah, man, I think it's a great scene. And plus, after this, I mean, during this scene, just at the end of the scene, is basically the first time we hear her ghost speak. Well, I guess, I don't know. I think it's the puppet master.
I thought it was the puppet
master.
Yeah, it's the puppet master speaking through her, which, of course, the more you watch the movie, the more you realize that the puppet master has been basically with her since the beginning. It's the first intuition with the trash guys, and then after that, it's now, and then it just becomes progressively more shown later on. And right after this scene between them, we basically just have a I don't even know what to call it, dude. I just think it's a animation showcase for like 3 whole minutes. With the soundtrack, you know, where they just show everything.
I quite like it. I just like good animation, and I would watch a film of that. Just just city life happening. That's a big plane, though.
You almost get the sense that these were transitional shots that they just moved all to the middle for some reason. It's weird. It's like they should have had these throughout the whole thing.
Well, it ties back into the script and the idea why they picked Hong Kong. They picked Hong Kong for this because Hong Kong was in that transitional period where they went from British rule to quasi-independence and then back to mainland China. And so that was also the question on Hong Kong. What is Hong Kong? Is it Chinese? Is it English? Is it a mix of both? And so that's why it's all these scenes are actually just a reflection of her in a turmoil, basically.
Yeah, and plus you see the I guess what they keep repeating, the mirror reflections, where she sees different versions of herself, what she thinks it's her, but she's not too sure. And I think it's a really nice way, especially with the soundtrack, where it's just really good, man.
I would not to talk about the show again, but there's in the show with the individual 11, they kind of do the same thing, the idea, except that's with more refugee uprising. But what did you think about how they did it in the show with that soldier that I forget his name?
I actually never saw the show, so I don't know.
I would talk in the dark hour. Never mind.
To come back. He dipped out for a second, but when he comes back, we'll ask him the question.
Okay.
But, yeah, it's I just think that it's really good. And so at this point now, we get to see, I guess. Well, I'll spoil it now. It is the puppet master. So we see the puppet master's body, and she gets hit by a truck, of course, because man, standing naked in the street, it's not really something that that should be done lightly. And so basically, what we learn is that there's a machine from Megatech. Megatech is the place where all of these cyborgs are created, and so a machine there basically assembled a body on its own with no programmed instructions. And the body took off, which is the one that we saw in the last slide, when it got hit by a truck. Now, there is no human brain cell in this body, but a ghost is present. And I guess you need a human brain to have a ghost in the body. That's basically why everyone is perplexed. And so what they're going to do is they are going to try and disassemble to investigate. And what they think is that it's had to be done by a very, very high level hacker. If not, this is basically impossible to them. And it's why they're so concerned. It's what the Major and Bato say. They're like, yeah, they say this to Gusa. They say, yeah, you may not know this, but we're all from Megatech, basically, except for you and the chief. So that's why we're all quite invested in this, because it just ties into the theme prior of the Major saying that, yeah, man, maybe you can gain sentience. Maybe you can be your own thing. And this is basically just the question was posed in the last scene, and sort of the beginning of the answer is given here. Whereas the Major wants to explore, and she really, really wants to see what's inside of that machine. And yeah, it's the ghost in the shell. That's basically where the title is from.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
They don't really explain it. I assume it's like a soul, but everyone calls it's a soul. The ghost is a soul, right? Right, that's why
they're all synonymous. It's spirit. You can just say spirit instead of ghost. Ghost is a bit misleading because we think of ghosts, like the spooky ghosts, but it's just a different word for spirit. That's how I took it. And what's interesting here is that just script-wise, like clockwork, the midpoint.
It's their consciousness. It's the ghost is their consciousness.
Yeah, but
that's what the term is. Sorry,
yeah.
I needed to go get something with some caffeine in it. It's early for this shit.
No, but philosophically, it could be just a synonym for spirit as well. And the interesting part here is just structurally from a storytelling point, exactly at the middle of most 3X structures is the midpoint, and it always brings the key for transformation. And it's just like a little bit of information that will prompt the hero to change. Like, for example, when you watch The Matrix, it's exactly in the middle when he meets the Oracle, and the Oracle tells him, "You're not the one." So that's his key for transformation. And here it's basically the puppet master shows up in physical form for the first time, and it's later they will merge.
It causes within the Major, it makes her question things.
Exactly.
She's already questioning them.
Yeah,
she's already been questioning them to this point, but now the existence of the puppet master makes her question even further, because the puppet master doesn't. She is as up to this point is what she thought was as close to not being human as possible, but now she's not so sure.
Exactly, it's a catalyst, and now she might have to rethink everything, and that's what prompts the merger in the showdown, basically.
I have an interesting question for everyone. What do the puppet master is implied at the very least to he would not human to begin with. What do you qualify to be sentient and deserving of rights? What kind of quality do you?
Well, the problem is we don't even know how our consciousness works exactly.
Just hold that thought. I'm just gonna, because Virus Ronson was just saying that this deserves more people. I'm just gonna throw this up real quick. We do have a repost channel that everybody can go to, and all of our 31 other Tuhos, as well as other things that we've had up there.
Yeah, we've got a ton of Tuho stuff that we've been doing.
So I'm going to leave that up for a little while so people can see it, and then I'll drop
it. It's linked in the description as well, so you can check it out.
I'm just honing myself out everywhere.
I think the most interesting part about the puppet master, and they have this discussion as well in the movie, is like, is it just a bug? What if it's a program? It was designed to gather information, and it's just bugged out. Because one of the funniest things from my own experience when working with machinery, I would meet other mechanics, for example, who think the machine has a personality, but we as programmers would just see that it was just buggy. It just needed another fix to, like, what they thought is a personality because it's acting up. It's just a bug on our end.
The best part about this movie, and generally, anything that tackles this topic, but I think this might do it the best. This concept of what is human, what makes a human is fantastic. And I think that the Major might be the greatest example of all that I've seen in all of media, because like I said, she's as close to not having any organics as you possibly can in their universe, I should say. And then you have, like I said, with the Puppet Master, literally no organics. Not even, technically doesn't even have a body. They trapped it in a body, but technically doesn't even have a body. And wants asylum as a sentient being, but doesn't even have a form. So it starts it really drives home. Like, if we were able to upload our memories and like our like consciousness into a computer, would we still be a human if that's what really defines it?
The only aspect where I say that's a bit outdated now, because AI researchers understand now that you need to be bodied. Like all the progress that AI is making, it's because they're giving it a body. So the question is consciousness inherently tied to a physical form? That's also the question here. And
I don't know. I think do you think you could give like something, put enough information into a like an AI or something, and do you think it can incur, some sort of human rights or something like that? Do you think
right now, the way that computers work, even with AI, they can only do what they're programmed to do as of right now. There's no self sentience within them to make their own decisions. Even the ones even the smartest computers that seem like they're making their own decisions are operating within programming. Now, this is now the Puppet Master operates outside of programming, which is where the question starts to arise. We haven't hit that point with it yet. We're not. So we think as a technological society, we're close to it. I don't know how close we are. And it's kind of scary that we might be close to it. But as of right now, computers can only operate within the parameters that you instruct them. The parameters might be super broad, which allows them to do a lot of things. I'm sure you've seen videos of like an AI playing a video game. Usually it's like Pokemon, because it's one that doesn't require a lot of mechanical decision making. In terms of like physical things that you would have to do. And eventually it learns how to play the game, but that's still operating within the parameters of its programming.
That's true.
I'm on the skeptical side of this.
Sorry, I mean, I knew that this was going to happen with this movie.
I'm on the skeptical side. It's just, for me, I think the body is an absolute necessity. So I don't think uploading you are just making a low resolution copy of yourself when you upload. That's what I think.
Well, in the show they argue if you make a copy of yourself and just upload it into a body, it doesn't have a ghost, so you can do whatever you want with that.
They also, didn't they talk about that in the sequel as well, that the copy the Puppet Master says the copy is not the same.
It's just an exact copy. So it's not it's technically not a new being. It's just the same being again.
So I don't know. It's fascinating stuff, but I'm on.
It's basically what he is, or you say he because the voice they choose, but what it is saying is that its version of reproduction is no different than if you have a file on your computer and you cut and paste it over to one area.
What's interesting, what it actually wants is to experience death and rebirth. So that's an element that's completely tied to having a body. Like parts of you have to die off in order for you to grow. So I think for me the movie answers it in the same vein where it says, okay, you kind of need a body, and that's why it wants to merge with the major.
So we're about to get to it because the Puppet Master is going to show up very soon.
Yeah.
And but the Puppet Master does actually it essentially is saying that, like, I've experienced growth, knowledge, learning, but I can't experience exactly what you said, birth and death. And I can't experience the having new life birthed from me. And that's where that's where the line is drawn. It was just exactly what you were saying, where it has to have a body. That's where the line is drawn. A computer can learn at a geometric rate. It can absorb information at a level that a human can't. Actually, we can't do. Our brains require chemical processes that take short-term memory and put it in long-term. In a computer, it's like that. So there's things that computers could do way better than us, but it can't experience certain things, and that's just flat out where it ends. And that's where that definition of is this a human? They have the argument with it.
I mean, you can have the definition. You can also have the argument about efficiency. Like, how is it efficient? Like, I don't need to show a child 10,000 images of a cat for a child to understand what a cat is.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Yeah, so.
Which is funny because actually, when they were testing AI years ago to see like what it would do on the internet, the thing it would start doing was watching cat videos. It determined like AI determined that cats were the rulers of the world.
Hey, keyboard cat is great. Who doesn't love keyboard cat?
Yeah, there you go. That's Jay Goodwin said it best right there.
Shout out to Jay, man. Good morning, Jay.
Yeah, I think Jay for him it was probably pretty early. I think he's in the same. I think he's in Mountain Time. I don't know. I might be wrong about that.
One of the mountain people.
Did you guys? Just a quick question. Did you guys play the games, the Deus Ex games, for example?
No,
I played a couple of them. I never got really into that series though.
So I loved the last recent. The last two ones, Human Revolution and Mankind Divided, and for a completely different reason, I absolutely hated Cyberpunk, and I feel like Deus Ex is in the vein of the people who wrote Adam Jensen think that a soul exists, and only just because parts of you are replaced, you're still a human. And with Cyberpunk, I never got that feeling. Cyberpunk was very nihilistic to me and very materialistic, and it turned me off. I could never get past the 2-hour mark.
What did you think of Cyberpunk Edge Runners?
I haven't. Yeah, that's why I never watched it. I didn't get into the game, so I skipped on Edge Runners. But I heard a lot of positive stuff about Edge Runners. I think it's probably different. Have you guys watched Edge Runners?
I haven't watched it yet. That's on my list, and I'm getting a lot of shit from people who because I haven't watched it yet.
Same.
They're like, you review things, or you haven't watched this. I'm like, I wasn't reviewing things when it came out. Give me a break.
No, but I think the starting point for a writer is: do you believe does the soul exist, and then you start writing, or do you think it doesn't exist, and then you start writing? And it's just I don't think this is bridgeable. Either it's one or the other, because they seem mutually exclusive to me.
Dark Hour, the Edge Runners is a prequel to the actual game, so you don't have to worry about playing the game first.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard people tell me I don't have to worry about the actual games. So
okay.
So in this scene we have Tagusa, of course, as we said before, what he does, it's his human intuition that leads him to investigate everything, and he investigates the pressure pads, and he realizes that something fishy is afoot, and he lets the major know. And now, of course, there it is, the puppet.
You didn't censor the nipples.
Yeah, titties, YouTube.
It's okay. I don't think it counts if it's like animated like that. I don't think it counts.
No, I don't think it counts.
You can barely see them.
Yeah,
that's true.
She's got the ghost nipples going on. This is ghost nipples in the show, ladies and gentlemen.
And so what we basically learned is that the puppet master, with his reveal, we learned that Section 6, of course, whose boss is on the right, basically Section 6 tricked him into diving into a cyborg and murdering his real body. And so he now demands political asylum, which is like, all right, cool. And it's the conversation that, of course, we just had of what makes you human, what eventually makes me human, of course, what makes me sentient, what makes me deserve the political asylum is what we just spoke about. And yeah, I think it's great. And Dark Hour, again, I have this clip for you.
Yes, I fucking love this. I don't know why. I remember the first time I saw it, I was just like, this is the coolest thing ever. Like, it's such a... I think it's because it makes so much, at least at the time, it made so much sense for them to have someone who can type that fast. I also like the keyboards that they have, because my keyboard right now you can't really see it, but I'll show. Like, hold on, let me see. Actually, give me a second. I will set it up so that way
you're gonna raise up your keyboard, dude.
Hold on, I just got to make sure that I don't knock. Go on, and I'll explain why I like that keyboard so much in a second. But it requires.
So,
let me just move around.
So after this, the puppet master escapes, basically. Well, quote unquote escapes, you know. escapes, and Tagusa basically, as we said before, he fires the tracker onto the car in which he's escaped. Now, so you have Tagusa and Bato, who are after the puppet master's so-called kidnappers. Now, of course, they are also discussing the fact that, well, the major is discussing with the chief the fact that maybe Section 6 might want to kill the puppet master because they are the reason that it is alive. So they might have created it, and they're trying to cut loose ends. So
here,
that is something that.
let's see if you can see this, right? I'm gonna.
Mm,
so my keyboard. Hold on, watch this. So, like it's reactive. So let me turn it a little bit better.
Yeah, you got the lights popping up. Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
pretty. That's actually really fucking cool.
So hold on, I have a bunch of settings. Let me this one's probably the easiest one to see.
Mm. Yeah,
so it's a Corsair K950 K95. Sorry, it's a very highly specific, like it's a mechanical keyboard. Each one of the keys has an individual LED light that you could program behind it. So that's why I think that's one of the reasons I like that sequence so much, because if you play it again, like watch the keys as they go along.
Okay.
Yeah, they're like. So, I've had this keyboard for like 10 years and it still works amazingly.
Wait, Virus Ronson 82. If I when I re-upload this, if I just put it under educational, they allow nudity. So that's
it's a K95. I went to go say K950, but
K950. Yeah,
it's a K95 is the.
The crazy thing is, back to the educational stuff. You can, they have like naked. Yeah, I was about to say it, naked yoga.
Well, you could show your butthole for educational purposes.
Yeah, you can show the mayor butthole, dude.
Yeah.
And as long as it's educational, YouTube allows it. But yeah, so basically, in this scene, which is the scene right after the major tells the chief that she thinks that Project 2501 was created by Section 6, we do get the confirmation by, of course, Section 6's leader and the keyboard dude. And so basically, what we learn is that they're the ones who orchestrated his kidnapping. And so that's basically what's going on right now. Now, during the during the chase, of course, what happens is that they're divided into two cars. Now, Tagusa and Bato go after the decoy car, whereas the major is chasing the real one because her ghost, she has a ghost intuition. And this is it. This is just the visual. And the one thing I do like to say is that I do love the little visuals that they do, which are pretty nice, especially to keep track of everyone.
Yeah, these like GPS little things are really cool.
Mm-hmm. And so everyone is basically prepping. So you have the people that are prepping to stop the decoys, and you also have the people that are going to be prepping to stop the original, I guess, the proper real body of the puppet master, which the major is chasing. Now, this is one thing that we didn't mention before about the girls on the keyboards. They're all the same, like just legitimately all of them are the same, dude. I like it. I think it's cool.
So normally with anime, when they do that whole like all the like minor characters that you're not supposed to be paying attention to anyway look the same, doesn't make sense but in this context it actually does, because they would be all essentially the same program, same design to do the same function.
Yep,
it actually makes sense thing. in this context.
Well, in the show, don't they argue that Android, they all look the same anyway?
So I haven't seen the show in a long time, so some of my memories of it might be a little bit off, but there's basically, like, they even mention it in the movie that there's like models, so to say, that you choose from, and there's like stock models, and then you can like enhance them or change around certain things. But if someone's function is just to sit behind a computer all day and just basically track things, it doesn't matter what they look like. They're just gonna, especially if they're very limited amount of human parts, they're just gonna, this would be fine for them. they would probably do very little.
Well, in the show, they argue androids that look like human have deliberately less function anyway, because it would frighten people if they were acting a lot like humans. I find that interesting, and that the fact that the Tachikoma can almost think for itself.
Well, they're like they're the spirits of they're the ghosts of children like put into tanks. It's like a really weird concept. Yeah, that's like what it is. It's like
but they do that a lot of times. Like I remember the Metal Gear Solid games. The Revengeance had that too, where they were harvesting a bunch of children brains.
So yeah, the Tachikoma are like children's like sentience, like controlling tanks. That's what that is.
Do we know why is it ever explained why it makes more sense?
I don't remember. Okay. I wish my friend I could ask my friend Dave. He would probably know. Give me like a couple minutes.
I just watched the individual 11 stuff, then and that's really it.
So at this point, Ishikawa, who we have not seen in a long time, dude. As we said before, he's an underrated and underappreciated character in this movie. Now he basically just sets the chief straight about everything about the Project 2501, because he's been trying to get more information about the project in relation to Section 6. And he basically just tells the chief confirms to the chief everything that I said beforehand about them being involved in its creation and them wanting to get it back, so they had to orchestrate this kidnapping. Now, I just took this shot because I loved the sniper rifles, dude. They are
honestly all the guns are well drawn, and the functionality of the way that they use them is
yeah, but the sniper rifle blinks, dude.
Oh
yeah, it links to your brain. It's
it's so good. Like, man, you could never miss with this, you know.
I love how he has to strap in as if he's going on a roller coaster.
Yeah,
for his hacking.
Well, because it's a 50 caliber.
No, I mean the character before, when he investigates more about the puppet master, he straps it like
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I never understood that. I think it's just like he's going. Basically, he's like attaching himself to the computer.
Yeah, I think so.
They don't really go any further into that. Like I said, he's
using 90s hacking terminology. He's locking into the mainframe.
It's the mainframe.
It could be a safety measure. If you could be hacked in reverse and somebody could take control of you, you might be still strapped in just in case that happens. I don't know.
Well, that's actually a very good idea.
Yeah. Well, that's what they do in the show. They have decoy brains that if you get back hacked, get destroyed and your brain doesn't, or like there's all now kind of they expand upon that stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think it's a good way, especially, man. And look, man, he's rocking some Converses.
Those Chuck Taylors.
Yeah,
that's the ultimate streamer.
Now that I think about it, those guns might be using 30mm rounds. Now that I think, because it goes through fucking buildings and like into like, you know, they might be like, the bullets might be like this long.
What's the one Gatling gun that has basically Red Bull can sized?
It's what the hell is that one? That's
probably American.
I mean, all the best guns are nowadays are American, and for a long time the Russians gave us a run for our money, and Germans as well. But nowadays, come on.
Just look at what the sniper rifle does to this poor body on the left of the street.
It literally explodes his entire body.
Absolutely disintegrated, dude. And so these are the decoys.
And people, they blame Bato for that one.
Yeah, they do.
They're like, you didn't have to like go so hard.
Yeah, so Bato basically just grabs the decoy. Yeah, Chuck Taylors will always exist. They're timeless.
I'm convinced that if you went back in time, Chuck Taylors were in like ancient Egypt. Like they're just
oh, dude. So they've stopped the decoys, and now we follow the Major, who is going to get the real guy that's protecting the body. And so I just like this
and
design.
quite possibly the coolest shootout scene in the history.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, it's really, really, really cool. And so she kind of bites off more than she can chew because of this huge thing that's camouflaged. And
I
have
love the
clip for
tanks
this.
that they have in,
Yeah,
in this world. They're like walking like quadrupedal tanks are so awesome.
I don't know how practical it is. It probably isn't very practical. But I've always liked walk.
So it depends on for certain things, like if you're there's two different types of tanks in the real world as we speak right now. There's ones that have tank treads, which was the more traditional thing that we know, and then there's ones that run on basically super thick tires. But in certain instances, the ability to walk in like really like uneven terrain would probably be very practical. I don't know. We don't use it.
I mean, imagine just slapping the proper rockets on this thing, and you can get onto every terrain. That gives you certainly some advantage.
Yeah, there would be some practicality to this for certain. I don't know. They probably wouldn't really need it for inner city kind of stuff. This would probably be better for something that had a lot of mountains.
I mean, that was the plot in Peace Walker. Like, going back to Metal Gear, I played all of the games. So in Peace Walker, they have one of these tanks, and the advantage is that you can just shoot off a nuke from anywhere.
Yeah, well, I'm a huge Metal Gear Solid fan. That's like my that and Resident Evil are my two favorite all time. So you're talking to the right guy, and that's actually one of the running things is in Metal Gear Solid 3, which is the canonically first game in the series. The Shagohod requires that you run it down an entire runway and fire a nuke. And then they kind of realized that was impractical, and that's why as it goes along, the Metal Gears become more and more functionally similar to humans in bipedal ability to walk, because then they could get to wherever they need to go.
Exactly. I mean, the Germans had a massive gun in the Second World War, but they couldn't move it that easily. It needed huge train tracks. I forgot what it was called, but I would imagine, like, if we can just walk with you for a jog, it's probably quite practical.
Well, have you ever heard of the Doom Turtle? It's like the biggest tank current that ever existed. It would just basically, they mounted a howitzer cannon onto a tank to try and attack this beach, but the British ended up overtaking it because the Germans just didn't have enough people to defend it. Look up the Doom Turtle. It's really interesting.
So Jay, I'm not saying that they would be I'm not saying that they would be practical for every situation, but I'm sure that there would be scenarios where the ability to walk would make more sense than driving over things.
I enjoy the look. It looks like some type of creature.
It definitely has. It definitely plays into the whole like what is at this point, it's like what is this, an animal kind of situation?
Well, speaking of that, I do have the clip with audio, so it's about 50 seconds long. So
let's get demonetized.
Let me play that.
This scene, and I mean, we only had snippets of it. This scene is so fucking cool. First of all, the music is beautiful. It's that creepy, low, tonal, damning sounds that it has. She, like, the way she handles the whole situation. She's just, because she knows she can't destroy this thing. It's impossible. Bato basically tells her she's a fucking idiot for trying. But she even removes the like parts from the gun to make it fire stronger. That's why it burns out so quickly. She removes like some sort of limitations. I don't know exactly how it works, but she definitely removes some stuff. And then on top of that, she's just trying to get it to run out of ammo, basically.
I didn't really get a good look, but is there anything the helicopter could do? It kind
No.
of looks like it has a good advantage because the tank can't look up.
That's one thing I've always kind of wondered is why she didn't just have the helicopter help her out.
Well, the it doesn't have the sufficient impact. The cannons that it has, it's not powerful enough to pierce it. That's why you have.
It doesn't have any missiles. I thought there were
I don't think
some
so.
boxes that look like missiles.
I don't think so.
I mean, either way, the point of this isn't that she's trying to destroy the tank this way. She's just trying to get it to run out of ammo. She really wants to get into the tank. That's what she wants to do. But
because she wants to get into the puppet master.
Yeah, well, the puppet master's in the car.
Yeah,
Does she know that?
And that's the thing is, I think that might be if the helicopter fired any kind of rocket, it could destroy the puppet master.
Oh, that's true.
She even tells the helicopter to leave too.
Yeah. So that's the thing is she's acting on her own. She's not really following her orders. Her orders are so her number one order is to recover or destroy the puppet master. Make sure it doesn't get back. But she's not going to destroy it no matter what. That's why she's trying to do it this way. She's trying to, and I don't know. I almost want to go rewatch this whole scene. I just love this scene so much. It's it's the fact that the whole thing just it's such a good setup from the start because they talk about how like the impact levels of the guns and stuff almost the entire movie, and then the gun she has is completely useless in this situation except to be annoying.
I love the water effects. I have always loved water in video games and anime, and I've always loved water. It's always intrigued me because it would seem like it's such a difficult thing to do, and it's like
it is. I love the fact that once she knows that the tank is out of bullets, she runs there. She puts the camo, runs for it directly, and then we have a proper, I guess, demonstration of her raw absolute strength.
That's the thing is she's so strong that she actually tears her own arms off. That's how strong she is.
She's stronger than she is durable, which is kind of interesting.
That's true.
This is in my opinion, that's one of the coolest shots ever. Is that she and I mean in anything, is that she is tearing at it so hard that her body just gives out.
Yeah, dude. Is
it ever explained lore-wise how they deal with pain? Do they feel any pain?
They do have pain sensors.
Then I guess they can turn it off at any notice.
No, she's definitely feeling this.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
She definitely. That's why she's gritting and stuff.
Okay.
It's not because if she didn't actually feel it, she wouldn't grit.
So this shot, especially when Batu shoots for the first time, I love this one the most because there's like a little shockwave going off from him.
Yeah, according to Heathen Monk, they can turn it off, but that might also be a later version. I don't think she could at this point. I think she had to feel because she wouldn't be gritting down like that if she didn't have like the stress and pain sensors on. It would have just been. It would have been like a machine. It wouldn't have actually had any.
I mean, it doesn't have to be. It's like you mimic what you know. Your brain would remember the same muscle memory, I guess, or reconnect with the same type of muscle memory. So I think, I don't know. It's just a lore question.
I love the back muscles. You see the back muscle. You see all the back muscles, and you see them tearing in the back.
There's no joke. There's a chick I used to train with. She's a brown belt, and her back looked like that. She was just like it looked like a topographical map of the.
Dude, I'm telling you, just look up lean beef patty on Instagram or on Google. Dude. Lean beef patty literally looks like this, man. That's crazy.
For a second,
I love a good muscle mommy. They're always good.
Me too, man. Me too.
But yeah, and then Bato just shows up just in time with the anti-tank artillery rifle.
Yeah, Sylvia, what did you want to say, man?
No, I just said for a second it turns into a Bucky anime.
Yeah. That's one of the ones I haven't gotten into Baki the Grappler.
It's insane.
I love one of my favorite. You can't really see it up here, but one of my favorite animes of all time is Hajime no Ippo, which is a boxing anime.
Nice. Yeah.
That's one I always suggest people. Standard issue Big Gun as Heathen Monk said. Yeah, because I don't even think he's aware of what it is. He's just like, yeah, I just have this really big fucking gun.
Yeah, I have it in my house. I had to go get it.
Yeah, well, he has a safe house that they show later on. And
Oh, I also
Yeah,
took this this picture just because I really liked how the I guess the choppers can open and look like birds. It's
yeah,
so
this is almost like predicted the what is it? I don't know what the name of the helicopters that have the wings that can turn
yeah, I see what you
forward.
mean.
a
Yeah,
Vito. Is it just
I don't I'm not up on my Air Force planes and helicopters and stuff, but
If you want a good scene like that in the second one, there's a huge one shot of the helicopter during the day, and the light is shining through it. It kind of looks like an angel, I think. And they're talking all about the Bible in that scene.
Osprey. That's apparently
sounds
that's what the name of it is.
Yeah.
Well, here, I mean, you didn't get it, but when they fire, there's not the Bible, but you see that the what is it, the Tree of Life? They
Oh,
show
shit,
it.
I
with,
thought I
like,
got it. Yeah,
oh yeah, there it is. Oh yeah, there it is, right there. The Tree of Life, the Yggdrasil, the and that's part of the philosophical thing as well, because that as they're going through it later and talking, they go down it, and it's because they're talking about reproduction and like passing on to the next generation, and the Yggdrasil is a really good visual representation.
And it also, in detail, it looks like a genealogy tree as well.
Yeah.
that's true.
Yeah.
With
Yep.
the details, yeah, so perfect.
Yeah,
Or the Tree of Evolution, according to Jay Goodwin. I always thought it was Yggdrasil. I always thought that's what it was.
It can be both. Like Yggdrasil is it goes through the same cycles, right? Death and rebirth.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
both would work, I'd say.
Yeah, and so of course, after taking care of the tank, this is where we get the merge. I guess. That's what we call it.
One more thing with this
Yeah, go
shot,
ahead, man.
the shot with the tank and the tree. Maybe I'm drawing too much. Is there some type of symbolism where the tank is below the tree, meaning that it can't evolve, it can only be what it is? And
I mean, you could perceive it as that. That's one of the best parts about anything like this is it's how you perceive it. And if that's not something I thought of, but if that's what you see, that it makes it all the better.
I mean, to me, the framing is it has a vanishing line that leads to the tree, so we know what's happening next is the merger, which again is just a new form of life that's born. That's how I saw it. But it works. It's on so many levels. It's great.
And so now, of course, we have the merger. So the reason why they're basically allowing the merger is because of the conversation that they had on the boat before, and even Batu is very curious about what's going to happen, which is why he lets it happen. But during this time, we also have instructions from. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know. I don't really remember who gave the instructions to kill both of them, not Batu, but the puppet master and the major's bodies, basically to wipe them both out. I forget who is the one that gives the order.
Off the top of my head, I can't remember. All of a sudden, it was.
Yeah,
I want to say it was the section
6
chief, right?
Yeah,
it's the section chief.
It's not the chief. The chief wouldn't do it.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the section chief of 6. I just don't know his name off the top of my head.
Yeah.
What do you think would I assume they're doing that because they're not ready to have this conversation. What does it mean to be sentient? Can my computer just gain life, and now I have to, now I don't have a computer anymore. I assume they want to destroy everything to just be like, fuck it, we're not having this conversation. Right?
I
think what it is you're kind of right. And what I mean by that is the conversation that we kind of skipped earlier. It may have happened while I was off getting my drink. That they were having with the puppet master is they don't even want to acknowledge that it is sentient and all these things. Yep. So rather than possibly encountering these weird, what's the term I'm looking for? The fallout of all that they've been doing and using it for this, that it'd be just easier to just completely destroy it. And the major is now part of this whole thing, unfortunately. So she's kind of I don't want to say innocent bystander, but she's part of the problem.
She's
So by taking
collateral,
them both out,
basically.
she's
You know,
collateral. That's a good way to
damage,
put it.
yeah.
By taking them both out, you eliminate the problem completely. Whereas if you only eliminate the
Also,
puppet master, you are
don't
only
forget
eliminating part of the
the
problem.
puppet master did seek out the major as
Yeah.
well.
Yes.
So
Yep.
in
They're
that
also
sense,
from the same design.
yeah.
They're
So it makes sense. We're like,
What?
Yeah, so like
What
what
do you-
we learn in this scene completely between when the puppet master speaks and tells us, the audience, is that the puppet master is Project 2501. Industrial espionage and intelligence manipulation is his programming, basically. He became sentient after going into the network and discovering all that he's discovered. And he was tricked into confining himself to a physical body. And as we just said, he was after the major, seeking the major, and willingly going to Section 9 because he wants to merge with the major specifically.
What? And then I wanted to go back, and then my point was, what do you think would happen in real life if like, I don't know, like 50 years, something became, lifelike enough to be perceived as sentient? What?
Oh, there would
They
be.
destroy it.
Well, no, I mean,
Yeah.
well, actually, there would probably at least be some, whether it be government or private entity, that would want to do exactly what they're doing. But the general fallout would be that there would be people on both sides. There would be a huge debate. It would be a new version of, the pro-life versus like pro-choice debate. It would be
that's a very rational debate.
It would be a brand new version of that debate, just with a different focus. If you think about every major debate that happens throughout history, they all kind of boil down to there's two sides to the argument that can spread into multiple sub genres, if you will, of that argument. There would be, but at first there would be these are people, these are real things, these are, and then there would be the counterpoint of these are not, and you would have a lot of infighting. If it happened now, it would probably be through governments. There would be certain governments that took one stance versus the other, and those people within those countries would also take those stances. In this context, because countries are breaking down, it would be more of a globalist kind of concept of like two factions fighting one another.
No, what do you think religion would look like in that context?
Oh, it would if this happened. Well, first of all, I think at this point, religion would in the Ghost in the Shell universe, religion has broken down for the most part. But if it happened now, that most of the, I would assume that most of the religions, even the ones that don't agree with each other most of the time, would fall on these aren't human, these aren't sentients, because they don't have an actual spirit or soul. Whereas the side that was more atheist or agnostic would probably fall on the other side. There would be some crossover. There's always that little bit of people who are like, no, this is God's new version of life.
Well, that's what I was going with. Like, there is the idea every conception is God blows in a spirit into the fetus. So I'm not so sure it would be that cut and dry. Like, I think they would be.
I think there's always the line, and there's the two large groups, but then they always splinter into smaller groups.
Well, yeah,
and then So any debate has an origin point that slowly breaks out from itself. So I think that's what would happen. You would have those crossover people. You would have the atheistic, agnostic people who are like, no, this is fucking scary. I'm going on to the side with the hyper religious people. And then you'd have the people who were saying exactly what we just said, that, oh no, this is God's newest concept of life on this planet, would jump to the other. So you would start to get some crossover here and there, but it would start mostly down a very cut and dry black and white line.
Yeah, and as Jay says in the chat, it's the basic question of the philosophy of other minds. We can only see the behavior of others. Do we know they have a mind? If we set a test for something to prove its sentience, could we pass? Yep.
I mean, there's always, I mean, like, you could boil it down to so much weird shit. Like, how do I know? Like, how do we as people know that when we're not looking at something, that stuff just doesn't exist outside of it? And that's like,
also, don't forget, it's not sentience. Is not even the metric. It's dignity. Like, you even if you lose your sentience, like if let's say you become a vegetable, they can't just kill you. Like some mechanism must be in place. Do you agree to just be turned off because you won't recover? It falls back to your relative. So even sentience is not even the metric yet. It's like, will this thing have dignity? I think is the
Cobra
actual.
Khan. Let me just read this one because I read it in the chat, and so the Japanese would disagree with you. I don't know how to pronounce that. Sukomi. Yeah, our object becoming sentient after years.
Oh, the god of the sun.
This is a current belief in Japan. I mean, yeah, I'm not saying like I'm saying that at first there would be a very, very distinct two groups that would be fighting, and then they would, like I said, they would splinter off into smaller groups, and that seems to be what happens in like Japan would be an example of that. It would be a really messy debate though, super messy, and I don't think there would be a right answer. Sure. The problem with any great debate in terms of like morality is that generally neither side is ever completely moral or amoral. There's very rare in the history of humankind has one side been 100% incorrect and the other side been 100% correct. So,
and go ahead.
I'm very interested in early Christianity and how and compared to now, like I believe the Pope just a little while ago, like a couple years ago, just announced that like everyone gets into heaven, no matter if you're Catholic or if you're agnostic, everyone go to heaven. I like the different contrast of. I think you're right. It would be a big debate, but eventually everyone would come onto the side of.
Well, I mean, I don't think so. Generally, for a debate to end, the entire one side has to die out. That's generally, so it would require, like, actually, Jay just said we had a civil war about that.
Yeah.
It might actually boil down to that eventually, where
I believe the Pope would be like, yeah, they're sentient. Eventually, like 500 years later.
I just want to point out one of my favorite things about that is for historically, that was a stance of Catholicism, was that if people were ignorant of being incorrect about the existence of God, they would be judged differently and brought to heaven anyway. So then basically if there was people spreading it and they were like, well, this is they was actually doing a negative to those people, because now they were kind of in the pre-approval. They were TSA pre-approved to go right through to heaven at first. Now they have to go through the whole process.
TSA heaven approved. Dude.
Yeah, I mean, so now they actually were done an inconvenience by the missionaries and such.
I mean, the Catholic Church has a division dealing with aliens, and the question is, do we have to proselytize them as well once we discover them?
At this rate, with the way things are going, aliens have already came here, and they're like, nah, they're not worth it. They're not worth it.
Well, I'll tell you a real thing that that happens with the Pope. If they think the Pope dies, this is a real thing that still happens. They take a little gold hammer and they tap him on the head 3 times, and if he doesn't wake up, they pronounce him dead.
So basically, don't take any Ambien if you're the Pope. I mean, I was raised Catholic. I'm not a practicing Catholic anymore. It's just not a part of my life. I don't disagree with anybody who does follow religion. I just don't. It doesn't work for me. But there are some really strange within the Catholic religion there and Orthodox Christianity. There are some really, really strange historical and traditions. That's probably one of them.
To add more to it, I was raised Muslim, so my parents are Muslims, and even with Islam, it's even more, I would say, insane, because it's completely going to depend on your tradition. I do see some Muslims just
there's like I mean, just like with Christianity, there's hundreds of different sects of Islam. There's really the 2 big ones. There's Sunni and Shia, but then there's like Ibadi. There's all these different versions. And each one of them has a different way of doing things. It's the same thing with Christianity. There's the two largest ones historically were Catholicism and Orthodox, and then you had the breakoffs of the Reformation and like all the Protestant Reformation and all that.
One of my ex-girlfriends really didn't like me because I always.
Well, that's why she's your ex and not your current girlfriend.
But she really didn't like me because I brought up the fact that Christianity, yes, there's one God, but there are three entities: the Father, the Holy Spirit, and I forget the third one.
The Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, I'm like, well, Christianity had to be monotheistic, had to be polytheistic, right? Because there are three entities, and it's
there's three entities that actually comprise one entity. It is all one all encompassing God within Christianity. It's just it has three forms of which it takes.
Jay.
I don't want to go too deep into the religious aspect here, only because not because I don't enjoy this conversation. It can start to get messy with the chat. So I just want to, but I do see where you're coming. I do see where you're coming from. Yes, there would definitely be some religious debates about this kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure. There would 100% be a ton of debates. Like if this eventually happens in any of the four of us' lifetimes.
I think at minimum, I think it's going to happen for you, Uninspired. I mean, you're very young, but then again, you are a cat, so therefore you do age at a different rate.
I do have 9 lives as well.
You also have 9 lives. So.
Yeah,
but I don't think we're that far off from having this debate. I would say within the next 20 years, we're going to really start having.
I give it a good 20, 25 years. About maybe even less because of the way the technology is moving exponentially. It's yeah.
I think not with the way. Nah, I disagree. I think they'll eventually hit the cap because they can't get smaller. They can already with the machine learning stuff is like it's costing so much money to add another layer, and it's not having that growth that they expected. I think we are just past I think the hype cycle of the whole thing. That's why.
But we do that with every technology though. Every time we hit this plateau, and then once that there's just this little tweak that needs to be figured out to go to the next level, and those plateaus have become closer and closer as history has gone on.
I mean, think about the Nintendo VR system back in the 80s, and now you have VR now. It's a lot better.
That's true.
Yeah, well, that's what it is. Generally, these plateaus. So, like historically, if you look at technological plateaus, we lasted on them a lot longer before jumping. Now they're a lot quicker. It almost looks like like a stock market tracker nowadays.
I see what you mean. I think just they are overhyping it completely.
Oh yeah, no. I see what you mean too. So,
Well, I'm not saying that we're going to get to the point where we have literal cyborgs walking around. I'm just saying we're going to get to a point where we have the debate.
That I agree, but when I listen to some of these AI researchers, they are talking as if they're creating a god. It's like
No, I don't think we'll ever get to that point. At least not in our lifetime. I
think with the technology, it's just not feasible.
Well, also, like I said earlier in the stream, there is computers by their nature can only act within their programming unless we figure out a way for computers to self-program. Like literally write their own code before they could possibly, which is at this current junction impossible. It has.
Well, that's what I mean. They would have to.
You could create a computer to write code, but you can't create a computer to write its own code to create itself. It doesn't.
Yeah, and it's all transistor based. So I feel like they have to go into either a quantum computer, a light computer. Like there was one thing called a memory store. It's like the
Oh, don't bring up the memory store. Then we're talking about multiverse of madness. We don't. talk about
I know the memory store.
But it's like supposed to be. It acts like a neuron, like an actual brain cell.
Well, here's the thing: is a lot of people think of the internet as just this disconnected, network of everything, but there still is hubs that if something really got into the internet and was fucking everything up, we could destroy all the hubs and just start from scratch if we want. There are, I think it's 6 or 8 hubs that it comes from.
Exactly. Yeah. I do also think there is a lot of in hindsight, we will view this whole period completely different because consciousness was always compared to the current technology. Like when clocks came around, the brain was considered to be a clockwork. Like when first mechanics came around, they thought of the brain as mechanical. Now the brain is just compared to the internet. Like it's a neural network and stuff like that. So I don't know. It's like I'm skeptical. I'll see. I have seen the images of what they thought in the 60s our future will look like. and we
Yeah. I mean, if you go back far enough, you're talking about like steampunk, where they thought like we were going to have steam engines flying through the sky and stuff.
So, yeah, it's like I think a lot of stuff will also happen that we completely did not predict at all. It's like
but yeah, I mean, like as of right now, like the way the current everything is set up, we couldn't have this like AI that ran wild Skynet style through everything, because if we really wanted to, we could just call up. I know one of them's in Helsinki. I forget where the one in the United States is, but there are internet, like literal internet server hubs.
Could just cut the wires.
We could cut everything, and it would fuck up a lot of shit. I mean, it would mess up a lot of stuff, but we wouldn't die. So, like, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. So at this point in Ghost in the Shell, the Major and the Puppet Master get blown to pieces by these really cool looking snipers, man.
And
really,
Bato
really
loses an arm.
Yeah, he does. Yep. There's the Puppet Master gone. And this happens once they synchronize, actually. I think that's what the snipers were waiting for. Wait till they're synced up is what they told the snipers. And then once they got synced up, just as the Major was seeing, I guess you could say, the angel come down from the merger, that's when it happened. And Bato
I actually have the list right here. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 10 of them. So there's Frankfurt, Singapore, London, Amsterdam. I thought there was one in Oh, no, it's Stockholm. Sorry. Stockholm, Paris, Hong Kong, Marseille? Is that how you pronounce that one? Uninspired MAR, Marseille, France?
Marseille.
And Vienna, Austria. So, and the United States one is in Miami. That's weird. You would think of
Miami? Really?
Yeah,
I didn't know one is in Vienna as well, so I'm surprised.
Yeah, so that's why the closer you are to one, generally the better your internet connection is too. So
yeah, that's why my internet's pretty good. So I do like the shot in comparison to the shot of the Major in the water with like her headless, just her head in the water. I do prefer this shot where you can just see half of her head. And this is just before they change shots. And then you just see Bato with his arm in the air, with the Puppet Master on the ground over there on the tank. And yeah, so that's basically how our story ends at this point. And we wake up, I guess it's 20 hours later, exactly. That's what Bato says. So it is 20 hours later. And Bato managed to get this child's body off the black market, which just opens
he said it was the only one he could get in such short notice. I just heard myself. That was weird.
No,
in my opinion, that's one of the creepiest shots in the in the whole movie is when it's she's staring at herself through the optics in the mirror. That and the one where the first time you see the disassembled Puppet Master are the two creepiest shots.
And so basically Bato fills her up to speed, saying that Section 9 is cleaning up the situation privately, as they usually do. And we learned that the Major has now a new entity. They don't put a proper label on it.
Yeah, it's neither the Major nor the Puppet Master. I've heard people on the internet call it the Puppet Major, as like a name that they've added to it.
The Puppet Major.
Yeah, that's one that I've read people call this entity.
You know what I just thought in this shot? Bato really looks like a cartoon version of Stephen Lang, man.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, man. And so basically, the way that this movie could have been perfect was if we had some Linkin Park, with the what I've done on the last shot. That boom.
Oh, I remember.
It's that's because Major Master would be problematic.
Major Master.
But it's amazing how to this day that's the thing people remember from Transformers the most is that route completely random Linkin Park song that pops in at the end.
Dude, it's because they've been editing them in the end of so many movies. You go on YouTube, there's so many movies that are edited to have that song at the ending. It's crazy. So when I saw this, like, it was the first thing that popped into my mind. I was like, man, I really have like brain rot at this point if this is what I think of.
Well,
this is some really cool shots. Go ahead, Jacob.
Well, I would like to pivot that into what's your favorite anime OST then? We'll get
into that. We could get that in a minute. I just want to close out the this one, and then we can get into that in a minute. I just don't want to. We're like literally at the end. I don't want to just derail it right here. But yeah. What else did you have? Inspired? Did you have any backs?
No, dude,
I know there's not really. You don't have. There's no BTS stuff we could do here. So.
No, so there is no BTS stuff. However, this is for the chat. This is a video that I'm going to link into the chat. It's a video on Dailymotion. It's called The Making of Ghost in the Shell. It's about a 20 to 25 minute video. It breaks down all the animation techniques that they used, everything. I think that it's a really, really informative video. So you can check it over there. We're not going to watch it on here because, reasons. But yeah, do check it out. It's a great video on the making of Ghost in the Shell. There's the original cast, the crew, the director. They're all giving little interviews. They delve into the CG animation and how they used it with normal 2D animation. So especially if you're interested in animation in general or just like this movie, I do think that it is worth your time. And plus, it's under 30 minutes. So yeah. Yeah, that's basically,
which is about half of the actual movie. So if you add that on to the movie, you have about an hour and a half movie.
Yeah. So yeah, that was like the little BTS plug that I can do because there wasn't really any stills that I could find.
Yeah, well, that's with any animated movie. I mean, there's really no like people taking pictures of people sitting at computers and animation desks and drawing. Like no one's taking pictures of that. But yeah, before we move on to like our final thoughts, actually, Jacob, what was your question? What's our favorite
OST? Like I really like the soundtrack for Ghost in the Shell. I think it really adds to the atmosphere of the movie and the very awe-inspiring nature of the topics it's trying to explain. But it not my favorite. My favorite is because I'm a child. I like counting kaiju from counting the Bijou from Naruto.
Okay. I would say my favorite soundtrack. It's like like I said, my favorite anime is Hajime no Ippo, and it's got a really like over the top bombastic style. Because it's a boxing anime, so they kind of go like the Rocky route, where like a lot of the intros and the songs that they play throughout it are very like uplifting when he comes from behind and stuff. And I think that fits really well with that. I like that a lot.
Bluebird is also really good.
But I think I honestly I would say anime does, like a lot of animes do a really good job. Whoever like the composers for animes generally understand what their job is very well.
I love the Hunter x Hunter one. There's so many tracks that have just perfect build-up, and because they have so many scenes where they just stare at each other before the fight kicks off. So
that's true.
Gotta feel something with that.
I mean, I guess I'm very biased at this, but yeah, I'm a One Piece dude. Like, I love the One Piece soundtrack. Every time I'm reading the manga, I just hear the soundtrack in my mind, literally as I'm reading. So it's meant a lot to me. But if it's a movie soundtrack, I'd say Memories, the 1995 sci-fi animation movie. I don't know if you guys have heard of it.
No.
It's pretty obscure. It's a Japanese. It's really, really good. It's a 1995 Japanese film called Memories. It's a fully animated. It's basically 3 features into one. It's really, really good. Yeah.
One thing I will say, I recently saw someone. I want to say it was on Reddit. Because I'm an idiot, I still go there from time to time. And somebody asked, like, what are some? I'm just getting into anime. What's something I should like watch first? Like
Naruto.
No, and somebody said somebody's list started with One Piece. I was like, if you start with One Piece, you're never getting to anything else. Like, why would you like? What? Don't start with that one.
I mean, maybe I'm someone with a bit too much time on my hands, but I've personally watched One Piece 3 whole times. That's about.
Well, I think they were also
800
suggesting that they read
episodes
the
in
manga
total.
as well, which means you're never getting to anything. So
I think that it's a psyop. You know, it's the first and last anime you're ever gonna watch.
I always tell people, I mean, if you really don't know, and like if you've never watched it, I mean, probably everybody's intro for the most part, at least in for the 2 generations we have here, was probably Dragon Ball Z. Like, start with that. I think it's a really good way to get into it. And then transition from there. I always tell people, like, Yu Yu Hakusho is a great one to transition off of Dragon Ball Z, or like Naruto, you know, and you kind of spread your wings. I
sort of go like in a different route compared to you, because I always give people a realistic anime. So I always tell them, go watch Erased. It's like 12 episodes. It's quite realistic. It's mostly like a serial killer type of thing. Then you tell them to watch Monster. If you want them to go a bit more,
it really also depends on the person. It depends. Like, I mean, it's just like anything. Like, if somebody was like, how would you answer this question if I said, hey, I'm just getting into movies, what's a movie I should start with? Like, it doesn't work. It's a medium, it's a style, it's everything. There's drama, comedy, action, suspense, is all of them. So it's like you can't really just.
Did you ever watch Assassination Classroom? That's
yes, Assassination Classroom is fantastic. It's about an alien who comes down, and he the very brief version, an alien comes down and he's going to destroy the world unless he could be they could kill him before he does it within I think it's within a year, but it has to be one of his students from his high school that he's teaching at.
Okay, that's quite
that's the very basic version of it.
I was worried that you were going to give away the twist. I was like, wait.
No. I'm not going to give away the twist. I've done enough of these things to know that kind of stuff. But it's definitely it's fun. And then there's like other assassins that are trying to kill him, but he's just like so fast that like nobody can get him. And he looks like it's like a
squid,
yellow.
right?
He's a squid. He's a yellow squid. It's fucking hilarious. It's honestly really funny.
Dude, Heathen Monk says Berserk.
You are a demon.
Started reading Berserk for the first time.
I mean, it really depends. I mean, if you're into you know, like mecha stuff, like people are gonna say Gundam. There's what is it? What the
Appleseed is also good mix.
Appleseed. I'm trying. There's Evangelion.
Near Automata.
Yeah, Near Automata. You could do but yeah, it's just so like that's like a thing. But we do need to say what our final thoughts on this one is, considering the fact this is what we were talking about. So let's start with Jacob. Why don't you just a little brief, your final thoughts on it?
A lot of media today doesn't really, it just popcorn stuff. And I've never heard this anime before 9 months ago. And this movie specifically, I really enjoyed it. I've had thoughts about life and about what determines life, but it brought that back into focus, and I love thought experiments like that, and I love the animation is really good. The characters are really good. It got me on the like monkey brain. Ooh, look at the pretty lights and the philosophical stuff. So
the boobies. Don't forget the boobies.
Oh yeah, the boobies. Boobies are always good. So it really hit me in all directions. Sorry, I felt like it. I felt like I really liked it.
Cobra Khan, I think it's a popcorn movie in the sense of you're like, and you're like, and then you just put it down in the seat next to you, and you're just like, okay, you watch it too, popcorn. This is very interesting stuff. But yeah, I agree with pretty much everything you just said, Jacob. But how about you, Sylvia? You have final thoughts? However you want to go with about it.
It's the same as my opening thoughts. I think it aged like fine wine, and it kind of embarrasses some of the newest stuff, I'd say, because I love the attention to detail. That's what I love the most in my movies, when I can feel that they actually thought about every frame. And in this one, I could just see what they did, and I wish the only downside, as before, I wish it was longer. I wish we would have spent more time with also the side characters and just explore the world a bit more. That's my only gripe with it.
Definitely watch the rest of the series then.
I think so. I think I'll just jump into that.
I always suggest to people with this, and with anything really, even though it's a little different, it's a little bit more like, like we said, a little kiddier, a little less dark philosophical. Okay. It does explore some cool stuff in the show. So I would still go with that. Uninspired. This was your first time watching it. Well, your first 3 times watching it, actually.
First 3 times watching it. I loved it, man. I didn't really know what else to say, but like I'm actually pissed that I didn't watch this sooner. I think it would have been a great companion piece because I loved watching Akira. So I think this would have been a great companion piece with Akira and with Memories as well.
It often gets shoveled in with Akira as like fantastic anime cinema.
Yeah, and with Memories as well, I think that's kind of like a great weird 3-piece meal, you could say. And plus Memories is from the same year. Now, the animation, dude, I think the animation is absolutely fantastic. Proper attention to detail, proper craftsmanship. And it's something that you don't see today. I guess, well, maybe with the Wild Robot movie, that's something that we might see.
I was interested in that.
Good. Yeah. So I feel like maybe that's a close thing that we can see. But yeah, man, I really, really like it. Why am I painting this CAT scan scene with kanji? The 4K Akira revealed the text in screen.
Oh, okay. I get what you're saying. It took me a second to understand. So yeah, they do something similar in the beginning of the original version of this, where as the kanji's coming up, they kind of run below it.
The translation,
the translations, which kind of look a little weird, but it's not on it's just against a black screen, so it's not that bad.
I've seen Dorohedoro. I have not read the manga, but I will check out the manga because sometimes when I watch an anime, I really like to read the manga afterwards, especially if the manga is complete, because it gives you a different vision. But yeah, man, I'll check it out. I'm a pure weeb through and through, dude. Like I watch a ton of anime and read a ton of manga.
Actually, I think you're a bleeb.
Yeah.
Weeb is white. Usually white people.
Well, what about you, Dark Hour, man?
I mean, you guys, like, generally, since I'm often the last one to say stuff here, everything that has been said, I love the character work. There are a couple characters which they could have done a little bit more with, but it left room for them.
Ishikawa.
Yeah. Bato could have probably been expanded a little bit more, but they do all that in the show, which is really cool. It's very rare that you watch any kind of cartoon, whether it be anime or Western animation, that you get that sense that like you're watching true cinema. And this is one of the instances where you get that feeling. I think like you kind of get that with like Batman and the Mask of Phantasm as well, and like certain ones do it really well. And this is probably in my opinion the best example of it, because they do use a lot of techniques that would be on a physical camera that was recording as well. And I think that that's the coolest aspect, is that you never really feel like these aren't real people, despite the fact that that's part of the whole discussion is like, what is a person? And like, we're watching cartoons technically, but they feel like real fleshed out human beings, which is really cool. And that's really the only thing I wanted to add to that. Everything else, I wish it was a little bit longer. The soundtrack is fantastic. Everything other people said, I'm not going to do those ones, but
I have something to add. You narrative and Dark Hour being older. This 1995. This was back when anime wasn't taken too seriously. You were like, I wasn't alive.
In fairness, it's still not taken all that seriously.
Yeah, I was.
But what would the culture around
So I was only back 7. I was only 7 when this came out. But okay. I could speak from a little later in my life. Anime was kind of in the same spot as like video games were at the time, where like older generations were kind of looking at it, which is weird because there was already animes like from like Astro Boy and stuff years ago and like Speed Racer that a lot of those older generations grew up with, not realizing what the hell it was. But there was a resistance from older generations, but like the younger generations were starting to eat it up, and just like video games.
Do you know how this was perceived back then? Do you know if this was perceived any better?
I don't remember. I don't know if you have any.
No, I was in high school and it was just considered cartoons. Like yeah, this is just a cartoon. It's like
we did have a super chat come in from our buddy Heathen Monk for $2. Hail Dark Hour to her and panel and chat. Awesome stream. I appreciate that. This was our first attempt at a morning stream, doing something a little different, get some more people on that I haven't really had on yet, which was, I'm trying my best to, now that I'm also with the producer for Date Sep, I'm trying to vary up the panels, get people involved. There's only so many seats that go around, though, unfortunately. Sometimes something's a really popular thing. Like I got in October, I got Terminator coming up. And I had like 95 people that wanted to do that one, and I had to select 4 of them. Sometimes I feel bad. I feel bad because I have to select 4 people, and I have to make it make sense. I have to have them be people that I think will work well together and understanding the topic and really making the stream better. And sometimes, unfortunately, people get left on the cutting room floor. It sucks. I feel bad that I have to do it that way, but that's the negative aspect of planning these kind of things. Is sometimes you got to piss a couple people off because they didn't get the movie they wanted to do.
I mean, if you're good at halfway decent, you should be able to talk about any subject.
Yeah, but I like to try and get people who really have a passion for something. In this instance, if it was like Jacob had a passion for anime, and I know you had a passion for the actual cinematography aspects, and I felt you guys would be really good for this one. Plus, the timing worked out for you really well. So I do enjoy trying to put together these panels in a way that I think will work. This one was kind of a wild card because none of you guys had ever streamed with us before, so I wasn't sure how it was going to work. But it was also an experiment with the time slot, so it worked out that well.
I'm just I was just the guy that basically was like, would you want to do a video together? I did that with a bunch of people. And
I mean, here's the thing is, and I don't know if other people answered you, but you picked the right guy to message because that's how I started. And that's, Tuhos as a design was really a conceptual that like I wanted to have people hang out, but I also wanted to give people a shot. I mean, my channel is getting bigger. I'm still not a huge channel, but it's getting bigger. And I only started because the Critical Drinker gave me a shot when I had nothing. I had no channel, no subscribers, or nothing. And I would be a fucking hypocrite if I told somebody, no, you can't come on my show because you're not big enough. I would be a massive hypocrite, and I would be that's not in the spirit of what I wanted to be. So that's why I try to give people a chance. Now I have a huge list of people who want a chance, so I'm working them in as I can. But I will never turn someone away because they only have 20 subscribers or they've only made 3 videos. I will never turn someone away. You might have to wait a while. Like, I mean, Jacob was very, very, patient with this. He waited about 9-10 months for this. You might have to wait a while because I'm building up like a lot of stuff, but you will get your shot with this show. And I that's a promise I'm giving to everyone that's watching. If you have a channel and you want to get on, talk to me. I'll make it happen. You might have to wait a while though. It's
hey, waiting is technically better. You're potentially going to have a bigger audience. So, you're going to be talking to more people.
And speaking of which, I think that's a great transition. Uninspired, you want to take over?
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to plug your shit. All right. Now it is the section of the show where you have to let the people know what you're doing, what you've already done, or what you are going to do. So who should we start with? Well, Jacob, let's start with you, man. Let the people know where they can find you. Of course, the links are already in the description, but let the people know, what your channel's about. Oh.
Yeah, sorry.
Every time he gets a call, we get to hear ourselves.
Dude, no worries, man.
Honestly, I'm not going to lie. I was a little skeptical as to whether or not that was going to happen more, and it's only happened twice. That was pretty solid. I mean, and if this was on your phone, you're going to do once you figure out the laptop version, you'll be even better. So,
well, I figure out the laptop stuff, but I had an hour.
Yeah.
Well,
no, it's fine. It's fine. Honestly, you sound fine. I mean, for being on a phone, this sounds really good. But now you get to plug your shit.
Yeah. So, on What the Film /WTF, I thought it was a good I thought it was a good acronym until I found two hoes and tits. But yeah. I talk about really anything I've been reacting to the Authentic Observer currently.
Ooh, nice. Yeah.
If you know who she is, I'm really interested in her because we've had very we had very different childhoods. She mentioned this in a video. The way she went through puberty and what I went through puberty is very different. I find that interesting. We had very different lives, and I find that kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, if you go to his channel, and just check him out, give him a couple subscribers. Let's get him out there a little bit more.
Yeah, dude. And, links are in the description. I just plugged it in the chat as well, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, of course. Do check him out, man.
And Selvier, why don't you let everybody know what you've been doing?
You can find me on YouTube at Narrative Arcade. I have also a Rumble version because every now and then I'm getting taken off for copyright issues. Usually it all stays up on Rumble. And I am actually a working screenwriter and director. And I started the channel during the strikes. Some of my commissions dried up. So I'm just doing very technical breakdowns from a screenwriting perspective. But I do focus a lot on video games, how to improve storytelling in video games, because I think if we just adapt the screenwriting tools for an interactive medium, it's gonna just improve everything. And check that stuff out. It is entertaining to watch, so it's not just cut and dry technical.
Yeah, it is actually.
I sat on that acronym for totally impromptu talk show. I sat on that for 6 months waiting for an opportunity to use it. Uninspired. Just hold that thought, Jacob. Uninspired. Are you working on anything right now?
Yes, I am, dude. I am really, really, like, you could tell that I have a smile on my face right now saying this.
I can hear the smile.
But Dark Hour, Jay, Melvin, like everyone kind of got me out of this weird slump that I was having for about a couple of months, man. Like, I haven't posted in 10 months a proper like real video. I've been just doing 2 hosts and like the regular job, and plus I've had like life stuff to deal with, but I've sort of moved on from that. I've come to terms with it, and October will actually be my first video in a while, so please be gentle on me, okay? It's not going to be highly edited as before because I still have to get back on the editing saddle. I have been doing so. I have gotten 100% back on the writing saddle. I've been writing for the past like 2 weeks now, sort of just in and out when I have free time. So yeah, writing is going good. I just have to get back into the editing. My next video will be on Monster House, the Steven Spielberg, cartoon from back in the day, because I feel like it's one of those movies that everyone sort of forgot about, but it was a huge childhood staple for me. And so I'm just gonna do a little video on that, and then after that, I have a proper laundry list of videos that I really want to go through. My output will still be slow. I'll be doing about a video a month. However, they will be longer videos, so about 20-30 minutes. Maybe if I can do longer, I will. And of course, we'll have 2 hosts between that time.
We actually have quite a lot of stuff coming up.
Yeah,
pretty cool, including that big crossover with Date Sep in October.
Yep, true. So yeah, so October will be my first proper video in a while, and then I hopefully will manage to keep it to a video a month until then. Of course, there will be exceptions if there's some stuff that I really want to talk about. I'll try my best to make a video, and if I don't have time to make a proper video, I'll do a live stream directly. So yeah,
yes,
so
we're gonna start launching probably more toward 2025. But we're going to be launching as part of the Two Hoes banner. We're bringing back Tur's Secret Stash, which will be on his channel, but also
the Mystery Gang. Yeah, the Mystery Gang.
Yeah, sorry. Secret Stash is the other one. Sorry, Mystery Gang. Sorry, Secret Stash is your post. Sorry.
Yeah.
The Mystery Gang, which will be kind of like, so I do totally impromptu talk show. Mystery Gang is his version, which will be over on his channel, but it will also be reposted on the repost channel.
The Two Hoes stuff. Yeah. So yeah, it's good to be back, man. It's really good to be back. I'm feeling confident. I'm feeling good in the works that I've been doing, and yeah, just a huge smile on my face, man. Finally.
Hear it. I'm glad, man, because you got me through my funk, and I'm glad I was able to get you through yours.
Oh, so. Dude, yeah, 100%, man.
And things are looking good for this show going forward, and that's actually something I'm really happy about. I got several videos coming out. Everybody kind of knows my schedule now. Show comes out, commercials get written. I build it, then I review the show around the commercial. That's kind of how it works. But yeah, next one's gonna be Agatha all along. Which I
don't envy you sitting through any of those. I'm happy that I can just break down stuff that works.
Here's the thing: is I hate the scripting, the actual writing of the script. I love reading the script. You can tell when you're listening to my videos. That's my favorite part. Is reading it. And this upcoming one, I have some bangers in terms of jokes I've come up with. And then I'm going to pivot right back to Rings of Power. To finish that up, which has a really cool commercial planned for that one. I know it's really weird that I pimp out my commercials, but let's just say this one is the best one you'll ever see. And then after that, I don't know. I think I might, once Agatha's done, I don't know if there's a little hiatus between that and that Skeleton Crew show that's coming out for Star Wars. I may take a slight break because that's a lot of TV in a short period of time. I might take like a 2-week hiatus just to kind of regather myself. But that's, I like the one thing I will say, I do enjoy the fact that I fell into a TV niche because I could just do it from my living room. I don't need to go to the theater as much anymore, though I still do enjoy that.
Well, do you use the app that I suggested like 9 months ago?
Don't pimp out anything that might get me in trouble.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so I think that pretty much sums it up. I think we just have to thank our guests.
Yeah, dude, massive thank you to both of you, and of course to Fermented Cinema, who was here before. Really sad that
Tommy couldn't make it, but we'll get him on in the near future.
For sure.
You guys are gay, great hosts.
We are gay.
Of course, we are gay for each other. Yeah,
we're the big gay.
I mean, great host, because I was nervous for like a minute and then it dissipated quite quickly.
So I try to get people. I tried my best to try and get people involved. So
well, we understand what it's like being, nervous. My first stream was on Mr. Brown's. I was really nervous on that.
Yeah, and I'm used to scripted stream. I'm used to scripted stuff.
Literally my first stream.
Yeah, man. It's our absolute pleasure to have you guys on. Hopefully, we'll have you guys back.
Hopefully, yeah, I'll definitely talk to you guys. Yeah. But I think that just leaves me with the outro and saying goodbye to the audience. Thank you all for being around for this early morning edition.
Yep. And first Two Hosts Rising Sun. So these will be at 9 a.m. EST. Usually, we're not going to do them all the time, but they're kind of.
It's going to be similar. It's going to be similar to the midnight run. Occasional, it's to mix it up, allow people that don't get to watch us live or don't get to stream with us a chance.
Yep. Exactly. All right. Well, cheers, everyone. Have a great day or evening or
whatever it is. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.